Hello, I'm Eagle Gardens 1 on Instagram, and this is fucking talking shit with Eagle, episode 368. Hopefully, you guys have had an amazing day. It was just an amazingly beautiful day here in Michigan, and I am looking forward to a great evening. Well, I have an amazing guest with us tonight, uh, Green Bodhi. How are you doing tonight? You want to tell us how you're doing? Of course, where we can find you if they're wanting to look you up. And well, it'd be crazy not to be following you already, but there could be some kind of miracle. They're not.
I'm sure there's a lot of people not following me, but that's life. I'm not that popular. So, yeah, man, I live here in Oregon. Kind of been a West Coast native for a long time. We're doing most of our stuff up here in Oregon and California. Doing a lot of consulting other places too, but just sticking in these two states as our resident states that we're in mostly. So that's where we're at for the most part. Weather's been really nice. Everything's been really good this last little bit. We just got done with a little snowboarding tour. My buddy was here from Peru. Watasca is his IG, Watasca 111, and goes by the name of Jose. We were just cruising around chasing powder for the last month, and then I picked it up off with my kid and caught some slushy days and just kind of took a little time off, little family time. So it's been good. Now back to it before the season really gets crushing on hard, but that's what's up.
Sounds like a good time. Sounds like a real good time over there. To be honest with you.
It's really nice, man.
I'm super grateful to have you tonight. I know I said that, but I've been looking forward to this. So thanks again. Right off the bat, I try to be vocal about the gratefulness. You know what I mean? It's key. It's very key, I think.
Good. I appreciate it too, man. I'm excited. I like these kind of things. And they're fun, They're cool, especially when people are cool and everything goes smooth.
So what are you smoking on over there when you're done?
Well, I have this little hash bowl that's got a couple holes on top, and then this little glass rod that I heat up and just mush down some hash. I do like a full spec hash, just 45 to 160 U, and just sieve it, and that's kind of how I roll it. Just because it's like it's in between concentrate and herb. It's like for me, it gives you the I can take 20 hits of the best rosin, but still want to take a bong hit. This kind of hash, I just smoke this, and it gets me where I need to be, or gets me where I want to be. So it works good. And this is Tenzin Kush that I'm smoking now. It's a Sour OG by 78 Old School Athlete.
I can appreciate that style of bubble right there. I don't think enough people actually appreciate it enough as much as you and I do. But I find it to be it's just a not knowing thing. I think because of the dabs and the recent, push of being able to just get flour, people kind of forgot like a old school or bubble hash, water hash type hash. And it's amazing. Lately, I made some not so long ago. Actually, got what's left of a nice sized jar here, and and I pass it out quite a bit to people. And it's funny when I give them to them, they look at me like, what is this? And I'm like, it's
They're like, is this caramel?
Okay. What do I do with it? Hey, well, you can put it in a bowl and smoke it like that, or I like to make a nice little worm and throw it in the middle of my joint, and it kind of just adds to everything. And then the next time I see them, they're like, that was good, very good. I'm like, I'm glad you enjoyed it. And hopefully it's not your last experience with some good hair.
back in the day, we used to not even sieve it. We'd like make the hash, and then I back then I'd separate every single bag, and so I'd have a bunch of bars, and each bar, depending on the strain, it'd be a little more caramely and a little more melty, a little golder, a little browner, depending, But then after now, I just do 2 washes and catch the 45. This next time I'll probably just catch the 45 and the 110. But I'm not, I don't know. I'm not so much of a connoisseur of the hash thing in the context of current day style connoisseur. I'm more like old guy style connoisseur. It's because back then we used to have these flat bars. Because you put them in between a silk screen and you'd press them with the paper towels on both sides, so you'd get as much water out as you could, and then you let it dry. And man, those things would be you bust those things open and be so gold inside, just coated with caramel, it looked like, and they're really nice, really nice. But it's seemed like a thing of the past now. It was really nice because you could travel with it a lot better, it was easy to work with, easy to store, easy to save, didn't degrade fast. I don't know. It's still a thing I like a lot. And especially for the experience of it. I haven't found something that you can get that kind of complete experience with, I guess, yet. So age.
That definitely describes the way I make my hash still today. That's the way I'm still teaching it, to be honest with you. I've made a couple of hash videos in the last year, last 2 years before that, and that's still the same method that I'm pushing right there. Is that one pretty much press and then let it dry. One thing I have kind of learned in that dry is a little bit of freezer tech. I still leave it in that puck that you squeeze or bar as you refer it. But in some cases, well, up until late, to be honest with you, I'd put that puck in its Prilex, and then I'd put it in the freezer, and I would slowly sweat out that moisture. It would get a little frosty in there. I pull it out and then let that dry out, put it back in there and let it pull out that moisture. Do that a few times and then store. I know I've gotten a good majority of the water out. These days,
in between freezer,
you can laugh at this. You can laugh if you want. You can you can scoff. I totally, it's okay. But I actually had worked with a herb dryer company a long time ago, a couple of years ago now, and it worked excellent for drying your cannabis. And then I seen somebody using it for. It's My Herbs Now is what it is, and it's a herb dryer. It looks similar to like a dehydrator. It's been altered. You know what I mean? They have their own spiel. I'm not going to get into that, but I have seen some people curing their hash with it, and so I did a side by side, just kind of letting it air dry versus some in the dryer. And I was so quickly impressed with what was the hash drying in the dryer that I quickly kind of pushed everything into the dryer there. But it works well. It's a nice warm temperature kind of cure, and it does it just like I would normally do it. It kind of hardens or leather. Yeah, that's without the freezer. And it works well, a day and a half, and it's pretty much ready for long-term storage. Hasn't hurt detergents at all,
Does it darken up much, or does it stay lighter?
Oh, it does darken a little bit, but for me, I've always kind of looked at that darkening as a quality factor, to be honest with you. And somebody that's made hash for a long time, as well as I do, if you pull that bar, as you refer to it, out, and it sits around, and half hour later, and it starts turning brown, that's some quality resin there. And I found if it sits around for like 4 hours well, maybe it might be a little bit closer to mids. You know what I mean? The longer the browning process to me is a judge of quality, and I don't mind that color myself. For the most part, it's for me, and it doesn't. It's not a sign of quality, to be honest.
Well, especially when you break it open and it's like looks like gold inside, you know. That's what I noticed when I like it'll oxidize on the outside, whatever. You crack it open and it's like amber gold inside, you know. And then I love it when yeah, you can see it. I love it when you make the balls of them, you know, after they're like all oxidized on the outside and the inside still like clean. It's like totally looks like, you know, Jupiter or something. It's like, so it's got a neat swirl to it. It's cool, like a little tiger's eye or something, you know. What are you smoking on?
It's nice. I am smoking on a little bit of Twisted TK and a little bit of Med Grower One's Primal Punch. So it's kind of a little bit of 50-50 with a little bit of some bubble hash here that I'm going to throw in the middle of the mix there.
Nice.
So usually we start this thing right from the beginning, if you don't mind. So when was your first experience with cannabis? What drew you into this amazing plant?
My very first experience with it, I was, I think, 6 years old in Nebraska, and me and my little buddy, neighbor kid, we were cruising in the alley, you know, and saw these plants on this other side of this guy's fence, just like, you know, they're like calling me, you know. So we jumped the fence, ripped them out of the ground, took them to my house, and put them in this like swimming pool. One of those like 4 foot, you know, half foot, 8-inch deep plastic swimming pool. One I used to like mix dirt in back in the day, you know. Put them all in there, filled it with water, and was just like stomping around in it. My dad came out, you know, and he's like, "What the fuck's going on?" Blah, blah, blah. Because like we didn't even know what it was, you know. But we're just like basically making hash, you know. But like, so all this weed, it was, I don't know if it was like just ditch weed or if the dude was growing like plants in his backyard or whatever. But either way, that was my first experience with the plant, you know, like it's it drawing me, you know, in that kind of way that was you know, kind of beyond explanation, you know, in just like now, but just it was just very innocent then, you know, very free, you know. So that was my first experience with it, of the plant, you know, showing me we had some type of connection.
An untainted calling, I would call that. Too young to be, you know, coerced by any negativity towards the plant, and that, you know, just a goodwill calling from the plant. It's kind of cool.
What's funny is the only thing I can think of why I did that, right, is because it's probably you know, I used to watch Bugs Bunny when I was a kid too, you know. So like there was this cartoon of Pepe Le Pew, you know, he was making wine, you know, and he was doing like he's crushing the wine just like. So that's the only thing I could think of, you know, like when I look back at that, like why I would have got that imprint, other than maybe, I mean, because, you know, water hash is a new thing, I think, you know. I don't think they've been doing that technique in the ancient times, you know. So, or I don't know for sure, but from my understanding, it's somewhat new, you know, from either Mila or, you know, someone right before her, or you know, or around in that zone. But from my understanding, it's kind of a new thing, you know, using water to extract, using cold water to break trichome heads, basically, you know.
That's from what I've gathered too. I'm guessing from that phase, like 90s, to be honest with you, like early 80s, early 90s, that type of era is when water hash was kind of introduced to everybody for the first time, at least on a more wider scale.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know who invented it, but from my understanding, it, you know, it was Mila, but I don't know for sure who he was with or who they're with, where they're at, what's going on. My friend Jeremy Keki from Davis Hemp Farms, he's filled me in on the story because he's quite familiar with this kind of history, and, you know, some of the legends he was with back then, you know? So, but for me, I was kind of, I'm not really versed and caught up in that kind of history, to be honest, but.
She's an amazing lady. I've had the great opportunity to have her on the show a couple of times.
Oh, sick.
She is just
sick.
a fascinating lady. Her canvas journey and some of the stories she had to tell were amazing.
I can't even imagine, you know, like when me and Jeremy did that Bhutan Glory collab when we first started, he was so psyched because she liked the post and was like liking the posts, and I think she might have shared one, and she's sharing some stories like, dude, Mila's liking this thing, it's so sick. And I was like, really? I was like, that is sick. And then he gave me all the history, and I was like, oh damn, she's like a fucking legend. we're like the children of that generation, almost, kind of, you know, in the sense of, because they were that one right before us that were really putting it out there, it seemed like, you know, because we were putting it out there pretty hard. You know, I'm 46, so you know, I've been doing this growing since I was 24, so, you know, not too long, but a little while. But these, you know, they've been in it like double that, you know. Like literally, you know, or life for that, you know. Just hearing some of the stories of some of the people I've been meeting this last little bit, and some of these older legends that have really like laid the road for us, you know. It's fucking cool, man. They really did something special. But when I feel it and when I see it, you know, I think it was more the plant, you know, because I think most all these people, you know, what it's seeming more like to me, at one point I made a pact with the plant, and you know, very esoteric, spiritual thing, you know, not for, you know, basically if I would do my best for the plant, it would do its best for me, you know, and kind of way, you know, more like maybe like I'm a bee and doing the work, you know, and it's getting out there, you know, in the way it wants, you know. That's just my own internal perspective. But when I really committed to offer myself to that in an altruistic manner to help others, because I really couldn't find another way to do it in a grand way, everything started to change, you know. The whole life path, everything started to change a lot, you know. So I can only imagine for these legends that really, I'm sure, had that too, you know, but in a different type of way, their own unique way. But I'm sure like everyone I've talked to that's really devoted to this plant in that way has had that thing, you know, where you commit in that way, that, you know, either the spirit of the plant or the collective consciousness of that wisdom plant, or you working symbiotically together, you know, kind of like cordyceps and the ant, but we get to live, you know. It's a little different, but, you know, like this plant gets in us and gets fully entangled with every cell in our body. It creates, from my perspective, creates a healing aspect that's quite unique, you know. And so if that's happened on a physiological level the way it is, and on the spiritual and esoteric way that we've all felt, you know, something's going on quite bigger. And it seems like the symbiosis of it that's happening is what's really pushing it hard, you know. It's like when you have two notes that harmonize, you know, the sound is nice, you can hear it, you know. So it's something like that, but more deep, at least in my mind, you know. So I can only imagine these old legends in the super outlaw days, like different country, different places, seeking around, searching around, doing the whole thing. It must have been fucking neat, you know. I know, because like I've done a similar thing with my own spiritual path, seeking and that kind of thing. So cannabis was just a tool. It wasn't necessarily the I can't say it wasn't the vehicle either, because everywhere I went I always brought good herb, and man, it opened up the best doors ever, you know. And really offered me an experience and friendships that I still have that are going to be lifelong, you know. And so there's just a lot to this, you know. So I think once you really devote your life to what this plant has to offer humanity and the collective consciousness of our species, it's, it gets quite special, it gets quite fulfilling, or I'm sure, it's just my experience. So I'm sure those old outlaws from the back in the day were just like on one, because it was like that edginess and egginess of being totally illegal, and all that just makes it more awesome. Or at least I don't know, that's just how I see things, The herb
I
tastes
have
better.
to agree. Yeah, it does change when you went from that outlaw phase of it to the legality of it. In some aspect, it does take a little bit of the fun out of it, just a little bit. Yeah, that riskiness, that it's that feeling of having to hide, knowing you're doing something right but wrong. So I do. They had to have just tons and tons of passion for it back then to do it because of the risk. You know what I mean? It's it's a crazy journey. I think that's another thing today, man, that people do need to grow, because even though they may be enjoying cannabis either on a recreational level or a medical medicinal level, until they actually start growing that plant is when it becomes full spectrum, if you will. You really being robbed of a lot of what cannabis can do to you, for you, in my opinion, if you're not growing it. I mean, sure, there's a lot of benefits for medical uses, but man, there is so many more benefits from the actual cultivation of cannabis, in my opinion.
For sure. And that's kind of why I termed this term called intentional horticulture. And, I made that up, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago or 15 years ago. And so the whole premise is working with this plant, wisdom plant, this power plant, giving it your all, every aspect of your intention, every aspect of your being, to do everything needed in the best way to bring this plant to its potential, but not doing too much, because you can overthink it and just straight kill it by being an over thoughtful weirdo, like hovering around your plant. I mean, that you just can watch your plant die doing that. It's like, it's crazy how reflective the energies are and reflective the plant is, so through that process, you really get to see yourself. You really get to see where you fall short, where you're lazy, where you're not aware, where you're not being thoughtful, where you're not being on time, where you're not being diligent, where you're not being, predictive in your forethought. You're being reactive in every way. That's not right. So all those qualities, it becomes path, especially working with this thing that we all love so much, and that we all know is healing people. We all know is giving this heightened state of passion and awareness and peace of mind to people. Why? Because of the endocannabinoid system, that this molecule, cannabinoids, they mimic an oxytocin molecule, or at least fit in the same receptor. So when that's going off, then we're experiencing this thing similar to from mother's milk to giving a hug to having sex to whatever, where that feeling, but we have it through this medicine, through this plant. So that alone, I mean, can just bring so much well-being and health. And so through all that process, you get to introspect in a way that's really deep, because, generally the growers are smoking herb. You got a lot of brokers and a lot of trappers. They don't even smoke weed. A lot of these people, these big business people and think they don't even smoke weed. Oh, I get paranoid, Oh, I don't like the way it makes me feel. It gets in my head. Well, why don't you observe what's in your head then? I mean, that might be cool, Observe why you're being paranoid, why you're being self-conscious, why you're being fearful, doubtful, depressed, So all those things will arise with this plant. Why? Because it's trying to show you where your shortcomings are and trying to show you and give you the tools to evolve through it. This is my perspective. I don't say it's true. And, just like the Buddha said, don't believe anything I say just because I've said it out of respect or reverence for me. But just as a goldsmith tests gold through rubbing, burning, and cutting, test everything I say with extreme scrutiny and critical nature. And if it works for you, adopt it. And if it doesn't, discard it. So it's like, you should be doing that with everything, because I could be full of shit and nothing I could be saying is true, or it can be for you too, because I'm just giving my own experience of what I've experienced directly. So for me, it's what happened, and for others that I know it are a, similar perspective also has happened for them too, in some ways, So back to that intentional horticultural process, it's really a process of evolving our mind through the relationship of caring and cultivating a wisdom plant, a power plant, something that's got the capacity to open gateways of awareness in your mind that most things don't actually, even ayahuasca, LSD, mushrooms, all this stuff, they can give you a good punch and you can really get a good epiphany. But if you don't have the tools to evolve your mind and change your reality, then it doesn't really matter. It's just a dream, where you were evolved at one for a moment or two, then you came back to the real world, started doing your normal relative dramas. And next thing you know, then it didn't work, but cannabis, I mean, we all know, because even I'll smoke 1 hit, 2 hits, 3 hits. Next thing I know, if I do something weird, I'm self-conscious on it. I'm observing it. I'm analyzing why I said that. Was my intention clear? Was my intention pure? Was I being self-centered? Was I being arrogant? All this starts to come in. So I start to analyze every range of my emotional state and my reactionary state. And I do my best to find the triggers in my body and analyze that and focus in breath and try to deal with all this stuff through the help of this relationship with this plant, And so, I mean, it happens too without, but for me, it's honestly a type of shortcut, And a lot of times people don't understand with the path of poisons. It can be a really quick path, or it can be a really, really long path because you didn't have the information and you, I don't know, started talking to elves when you smoked DMT or something. I'm not sure. And you thought it was real, to where you write books about it and you tell everyone about it. I've never seen an elf on DMT, but I've seen all kinds of other things inside my mind and my pineal gland expressing and flowing out more DMT as I engage that receptor response in my brain by smoking it, I mean, I've had the experience of being completely one with whatever the most divine everythingness is. So it's like, I can call it all kinds of stuff if I were to, man, it was very alien at times, lots of music playing at times, different things I've done. It's like, but that's what's happening in here. I wouldn't say that's a real thing in the realm that I'm going to, but that being said, with cannabis, it's more subtle, more direct, I mean, we've all had the experience, take too many hits. We have some stress or struggle in our life. What do? Go to that, start looming on that. Oh my goodness, I didn't do that right. Oh, like, oh, is this gonna end? Or, eat too much edibles. Am I gonna die? Like, is my heart even beating? Was 1,000 milligrams, I think might have been too much, So those kind of self-introspective engagements that happen through that process of the relationship with this plant, it's like very unique. So through cultivating it, through being there, giving it everything it needs, taking care in every single way, it'll give you the result of all that care, And I haven't found something that shows that hard work and care more than this plant. And most people don't notice, do you know what I mean? You see in the rec world, you see everyone's like trims like shit, machine trims, whatever. Most people are growing conventionally with salts, whatever, no care. The customers don't know, they're not caring, and it's like, and that's still good. And everyone's still psyched on it. A lot of people don't even get the really high level organic, herb that's like someone trimmed every single sugar leaf perfectly. Every single stem they clipped without hitting any bracts, you know, like everything's perfect. Not one hair is touched, you know. Some people do like that too, you know. It's just, you don't see it in the mainstream marketplace really, you know, not too often, you know. So I think all those conditions done in that intentional way cultivates something in our own mind that's very unique and special, you know. So anyway, a little long rant, sorry. But hash it.
Enjoyed every word of it. Very wise man. You may not, you say it may not be truth, but I found a lot of truth in what you were saying myself. I definitely can relate to a lot of what you spoke, that's for sure. Cannabis is it's a spiritual plant, and it is a very plant of wisdom. What I've seen in the last few years, if I've talked to more and more people about their cannabis journey, you know, it is an incredible evolution. It's taken people from all walks of life, and they may start out growing for whatever reason, but none across the board. The plant has bettered almost everybody I've talked to in every way across the board, and has brought them more knowledge, because they seek into, you know, plant training, IPM. Moreover, once they scratch and get into it far enough, a lot of them start right from the beginning with organics. And I found once you get into the organics, now you've almost cracked into like a spiritual kind of growing as well. Because what I found, what you find in the soil is incredible, to be honest with you. There's so much, you know, what goes on in the soil, and it goes on in with us. You know, it wasn't until I actually cracked that door open a little bit and started, you know, I knew there's things going on in our gut, as far as, you know, bacteria and fungus and all that. But I never really understood the direct correlation of how close we are to plants, you know, as far as nutrition they need and we need, and how important, you know, mycology is in the whole game plan of, you know, how they uptake nutrients, digest things, and communicate with each other as well. You know, so it just draws people in deeper and deeper, you know, on both ends, the spiritual outside of the plant, and just wanting to dive deeper into knowledge on how to cultivate, and then more about the plant breeding. I mean, it goes on and on and on. As soon as you reach another one plateau, it kind of, you go, okay, I'm gonna walk down this road for a while. It's an amazing plant.
Yeah, man, for sure. And it's funny you said that about the gut correlation, because that's how I actually I think really advanced more of my cultivation techniques, because I got kind of sick when I was younger, you know. I was growing, you know, kind of pseudo organic, you know. At first I was growing really organic, but then I grew a little chem for a little while, some conventional stuff with a roommate, and then went back to organics. And but it was like kind of half and half. And then, you know, I was having you know, some issues with my body. I was heavy metal toxic. I had like 49 parts per million mercury in my body, which is like, I think safe is 3, 7 is extreme. So it was like, you know, 16 times safe, you know. So then I had candida really bad, and I was like, you know, I was really itchy and irritable, you know. I was really just like, it was really gnarly, you know. It was a really weird feeling, and felt like I was going crazy, you know. And even after I started doing a lot of Buddhist practices, I was just still like really agitated and really irritable, and, you know, want to like knock people's heads in, you know, for even just like giving you any attitude. It's just like, it was very strange. It's like, you know, beautiful girlfriend, you don't even want her to touch you, you know, because you're just like, oh, like, so I went to the doctor and was telling him all about it. And he's all, man, he's like, have you ever heard of heavy metal toxicity? I said, no. He said, sounds like you're extremely mercury toxic. I said, what, really? And so then we did the chelation, and I was extremely mercury toxic, you know? Anyway, So after about 2.5 years of chelations, I got it down to somewhat safe, you know. But anyhow, at that time, I started realizing that I had to change every aspect of my diet, my living, what I was eating. And I was eating okay at the time, but not caring. So then I, you know, switched to trying to eat all organic and, you know, leaving out certain things. They said I was really gluten intolerant too, like a 0.987 on the out of 1.0 on the scale, but I don't have much signs of it, you know. So I would still eat it and whatever, no big deal. And so anyway, I started realizing, I'm like, once I realized what was in my gut and how it was working, I started analyzing the soil and the soil biome and all that, what's happening. And you realize that it's all the same, you know, in a lot of ways. There's so many analogies. It's like a mirror, you know. So, and once you start being able to give yourself all the conditions to promote your potential, you start realizing that it's like that with everything. Everything's conditional, you know. So if everything's conditional and you can analyze logically the prime conditions of something through understanding and knowledge, then you can alter those and create the conditions for something that's going to benefit it most. Really neat things start to happen, you know. So once I started doing that with the soil, it just like, it really changed. It changed together is what's really interesting, you know, as my understanding of organics, my understanding of my own body and vehicle. Once that both started happening together, it's really neat, you know. It's a really cool journey, and it gets quite simple then too. Like you don't have to eat as much, like with organic, you don't have to feed as much, you know, you don't have to give it as much stuff, especially once you're on your 4th, 5th, 8th, 10th round on a container, you know, because I container grow still, and we're just reusing the same pot, just amending every time, you know. And this last time we just pulled the heart out and then just plugged another one right in there. Didn't even like break it up at all. I don't know if I'm going to do that again, but next time I'll probably bust it up a little, but still just use the same mass, amend a little bit in there and then start. And it's just like, you don't need much, especially with things like EM, you know. It's basically like a super lab with extra probiotics. It's epic. I eat it too, you know. So it's like when you can start eating what you're giving, you know, I mean, even it's not like you're, you know. So like what I realized with certain things, once you give your body exactly what it needs, you don't need that much, you know. With the plant, same too, you know. You can get a really beautiful, really amazing thing without all this extra BS that's, you know, kind of destructive actually to the environment, destructive to the plant, destructive to a lot of the life in the plant, you know, in the soil. If you're using soil, if you're using just a regular conventional soilless medium, you know, it's like you add whatever you want life in there. So it's a different style, you know. So I'm not like knocking it. It's just not for me, you know. I did it. It's nice, you know. You get more weed. Sometimes looks way more cracked out. Terps are, you know, less, but the look's there. So the bag appeal's there. And so if you're doing it for money and selling it, it's really good, you know. But if you're doing it for your head, it's just, I don't go to the store and, you know, Albertsons isn't my choice of store if I have a choice, you know, just personally, you know. If I'm going to go into the store, I'm going to choose organic heirloom tomatoes. I'm not going to get a hot house, you know, hydro grown tomato. I'm just not, you know. I'm not going to get hey, where's that conventionally grown orange at, you know. I'd rather get some cara like organic dank orange, you know. That's just me, but everyone has their own thing, you know. It's like it's funny you see, like Eugene, it's so funny that for so many years you get all these hippies that are like so heady, everything's smoking American spirits, you know. It's like, no offense, man, but you can only be so heady if you like are addicted to a multitude of things, you know. So one thing to balance, you know, I'll take a drag of a cig, I don't care, you know. Just the wisdom plant too, you know. Tobacco fucking changed the world, you know. The natives, they used it properly, you know. They grew it properly, they used it awarely. What's happening with Marlboro? Yeah, I have a lot of opinion and stuff to say, but I don't know. I know there's a lot of smokers, so I'll just, you know, don't want them to get all mad. Don't want anyone to suffer. That being said, when you start to tailor the conditions of any scenario, if you tailor it in a way that's going to advance that being or that plant or that space or whatever, you know, a lot of cool stuff can happen then. And it happens quite effortlessly, what we've noticed, you know.
So, I'm currently working my way through new mediums. You know, I've ventured my way through all kinds, to be honest with you. Probably everything you've listed.
Have you
Everything
done
you've listed,
aquaponics?
and probably done some, to be honest with you.
Have you
But
done aquaponics?
I've changed. Well, I changed in the beginning. It's kind of funny because I had I have not. That's one of the maybe someday. That's one of the fun things about Canvas that it still kind of draws you on. You can still,
I know. I
I
want to
want
do
to
aqua.
try this. It seems like a great way, and it's already on the organics path anyway. So you can actually feed yourself and your plants off a system like that if you did it right at your thing. But I'm actually getting back into like a more soil type system now, coming in from cocoa. I had a friend of mine, Smiley's Gardens, who does like an organic takeover once a month. He just had Dutch Blooms, Josh from Dutch Blooms, on this last month, trying to teach that organics and regenerative type of gardening. But so he was nice enough to bring me a couple earth boxes with a coots mix in it. I know I heard you were saying, a little less, you could get less. Well, in this instance, right next to my cocoa, it outperformed my cocoa. And there wasn't the lag in organic that you always hear. Organics doesn't grow as fast and all that. The yield isn't as good, but better turfs. I didn't find any of that to be true. And the side by side, it kept up just as well. And that was one of my other draws of wanting an organic type of medium in my garden, was because I am a caregiver. It is a medicine, not just to me, but my patients as well. So I am concerned. Even though I do grow in salts, a little bit of organic mixed in there, it's an up and down, and it's still an evolution. It's many years since I'm into it. Now I'm back to the organics, and
You're
I've seen that
like,
now that yeah, it can work in the current system. I'm definitely trying to bring it back. So I've went out. I've got uh, I've got 4 different types of soil, I guess you could call it. One of them you can see behind me, it's like an M3 mix, and it does have perlite and vermiculite in it. And I'm still like, when I look at that, I scratch my head and I think soil, not so much. I don't go outside and see that. So, so I'm kind of, the other ones a little less, a little more of this, that, and I'm kind of leaning more towards the other brands so far. But my main concern is like the future. As you stated, I've talked to a lot of people about organics, and now I'm thinking about next runs, and maybe just amending these, or different. I'm thinking of the future, no more of taking it out, getting rid of it, all that. I want to try to have a few runs on a soil, maybe amend in between. But I've heard you talk of like 8 or 9 runs in like a pot, So how do I, like, with these herb boxes that I've got, behind me? I'm wanting to put them back into run. How should I go about like amending a pot? And I do you lose aeration in time? And or is that in forethought of setting up that pot, for the long term
well, usually what I'm doing is
aeration?
at the end of the run, I'll dump the container, smash it all up, take anything that's like, really dense out. The root heart I'll take out. Even though it's packed with goodness, I still take it out. And then I'll take any real matted chunk root out. But then other than that, I'll leave the rest in. And then I'll break it up, put it back into the same pot, add a little soil on there if I have to, plant, and then I'll top dress. Usually earthworm casting, some Alaskan forest humus, some, basically some other nutrients that we're making. So just a multitude of different things, like a pelletized organic nutrient. We have a 3-phase thing that we're working with a company that's really just, he's fucking amazing. So I'm not going to tell the name or anything, but it's coming out soon. So anyway, that being said, amend with a little bit of nutrients, and a little bit of gypsum, few other little things, biochar, things like that. But about 1.5 cups worth of stuff, throw that on there, and then just water it in on its first feed after transplant, or first water in at transplant, mycorrhizas, stuff like that on the root mass or whatever. But that's what I do every time. And then from there, I top dress, and if I feel like I need to give them more, I'll give them more. But that's where it's at, so top dress, hit them a few other things, EM, some, hydrolysate, fish or food compost, liquid food compost kind of nutrient, a couple other things, so all like kind of ag products, bigger products that you're getting in like 55-gallon drums or totes or something like that, can't get it in like the bottles or anything, 55-gallon and above, I think, but it's worth it. the ROIs.
What about if we're not in pots? Like if it's more of a bed type garden.
I think it depends on the size and how compact it is, how big it is, if it can do its own thing or not. If it has the size, it can do its own thing without you having to till or do anything to it, for sure. Smaller sizes, just a lot of the root, the plant eats a lot of the dirt, and it's hard to add enough dirt to counterbalance the root at that size. It seems like when you're using things like, good beneficials and good probiotics, it seems to digest the decaying root mass pretty well and root matter pretty well and get it usable, or the plant kind of takes it over. And, not really sure what happens with the roots, to be honest, because I had a really big pile that I left out for, a couple of years, just black plastic on it and open it up, this kind of thing. It was all the dirt I just keep putting in there when I wasn't reusing it. And after a couple of years, I opened this thing up and was moving. So I was going to take some, and I opened it up, and the entire mound was like these little glass roots, the tiny little roots. They were all connected. It was like one giant root cake, It was just like one giant root cake. So it's really interesting because like all the dogs coming in here, but it all just stuck together, So I don't know if it was all the mycorrhiza and the fungi and everything, just like, interlocking together and creating one unit. So I'm not sure how much of that happens in the root mass in your container, and if it doesn't have the size, the root cakes up and gets pretty big versus the soil that's there. We're experiencing that on our, I don't know whether if it's like sixth run or something, 7th run on these 10-gallon smart pots. It's they're kind of getting pretty tight. So break them up, take all the root out, add whatever you need to, a fresh soil to it, but like I said, it's 7 runs or something, 6 runs on a 10-gallon smart pot, which is, I don't know. I didn't know you could do that before. So like, honestly, I just would throw the shit out.
I would say that's pretty dang good, to be honest with you. Yeah, 10 runs on a 10-gallon. That's what I'm running, 10 gallons. So yeah,
So
if I could run 10 rounds on that same medium, I'd be stoked. You know what I
well,
mean?
you have to,
It
but
saves a ton.
yeah, I mean, it's hard to throw away all those worms and all the like life you
I'm
like.
looking forward to that organics.
A lot of top dressing, a lot of castings.
So that's, you say top dressing with castings. The one thing I've always found with the top dressing with castings is they harden up the top of my soil. And, they make watering a problem at some point. It's the only downside I found with the top dressing with earthworm casting. So, is there something else that you'd feel is a good substitute, or do you have a tip of top dressing with earthworm casting so they're not so water shedding?
I use forest humus too, and then we'll break it in. But yeah, no, we don't have that problem with our soil because our soil, I don't know, it doesn't cake like that. Maybe there's a lot of peat in what you're using or something. I'm not really sure. We do weird, we're using a lot of peat too, but or maybe it's the cocoa or the type. I'm not really sure, but we don't get much caking on top, or we'll break it up too. But also it's the type of we're using a dram sprayer too, so it has a lot of pressure. So the top, you know, inch or two of the soil is always breaking up and aerating, and it's driving that top dress and that forest humus and castings down. Maybe it's the combo of the forest humus too with the castings. Why it's not caking on ours, but
Well, I should say it's only get that problem if I let that top layer get a little too dry. That's when I get the water shed. If I keep it at a moist level, it's not so bad. But if it gets to where it dries out even to the slightest, it sheds. I usually will have to go back through and kind of break it up a little bit, that whole top layer before I water, then everything will roll through. But it's probably more or less clean that water on point. Maybe I should think about maybe some type of top cover, maybe some straw or something like that after the dress earthworm casting dressing. Help keep it moist.
I don't know, man. Straw's good for a lot of things. I don't use it, but it has a lot of potential though. That's for sure. What it holds, it's let a lot of bio life for sure. Especially once you I don't know, putting it in your compost tea and little bales, little wrap up bales. I used to do that, but just because I heard it produced some type of extra beneficials, but I don't know for sure, man. I'm not a biologist, so, and I'm not that studied in that kind of stuff. I'm more studied in philosophy and psychology. So all this plant and weed stuff I just did intuitionally. I didn't read any books or anything like that, or I just, you pick up things here and there. Luckily I was in Eugene, so a lot of the culture is all about it, and everyone's pretty snobby about organics here. It's hard to, you ain't busting out your hydro here, in a party and like rolling a joint of hydro being, and people being psyched on it at the party. That wasn't happening here. It just wasn't. But I mean, I did it, but you're like, everyone's like, they're all do the long dreads, like, hey, bro, this ain't organic, You're like, oh, interesting. I can tell. That's when I was like, I grew organics for a couple years, just like, went out and dug my soil and amended it and put, cocoa in it and just like rocked it like that, did some teas, and then I did some general hydro, just top feeding into vermiculite and perlite for a year and a half or so. And how everyone would, how receptive people were of that or not, you know what I mean? Nobody around Eugene liked it, So, you roll a bunch of joints that because you're only smoking that. So you think it tastes good, it smells good. It's chronic. Look at this shit, And these like hippie organic folks smoke it and they're like, it kind of, rubs off after a while, you like to be the guy that's like, even with food or with anything that people are enjoying what you're offering, you want them to enjoy what you offer. You can tell with weed, it's very weird. Like I'll bust out a jar back in the day, roll a joint at a party or something. Just because you bust out a jar and it's dank or whatever, other people like trying to bust out their jar, show you their weed, show you how dank their weed is. You're like, no, man, I wasn't like show and tell time. I just wanted to roll a joint, But it's a really interesting thing with the herb, and the ego, and what it does. It's a really unique one with that, It's like really exacerbates it or really like crushes it or like has a lot of dimension to how it works with the ego of the mind of the cannabis user and grower,
I think that it seems only natural for me for cannabis and psychology to kind of go hand in hand, to be honest with you. Do you find that to be true? And do you find that of other people in the psychology field that are they open to cannabis as well?
In the Western psychology, yes, but in Buddhist psychology, they don't consume for the most part. None of course, none of the monks do, and but I've given some of them CBD medicines for multitude of ailments, and also their friends in India with like epilepsy and stuff like that, cancers, things like that, asthma, and there's micro amounts of THC in some of that, and a little more in some of it too. So in that context, they've utilized it as medicine, but not in a way of altering the mind in any way, So. In Western psychology, for sure, obviously, I'm not to say that there aren't lots of spiritual practitioners, Buddhists, whatever, that don't use cannabis for the psychological medicinal aspects that it offers, but not in the like scholastic rigor, I guess, it's very, very strict in that context, and they're, monks have taken vows and everything. They don't have no use, no need, no desire at all. It's what I've noticed, but as a medicinal sense, if they're experiencing some type of, headaches or some type of, their family, like I said, with epilepsy or cancers or them, they've utilized the medicines then. For psychology, like a lot of my friends, we're all kind of, similar, like, they're definitely introspective people, good people, trying to analyze mind of themselves. I mean, my friend is just like my friend in Peru, my brother Jose, he is a psychologist. So, I mean, then I think he loves weed more than me even, so it's and he's definitely loves the study of mind and loves to help people in that context too, It's really hard because a lot of people, they might think the things, but they don't have the words maybe to most clear, and if you can help them sometimes if you do have the words to the experience and share an experience that's relative to their experience, it can offer a lot of help, especially if you can talk them through what you experienced and went through and your sufferings or your elations or whatever, and they can relate. It's quite beneficial. So I think it's like that because since I was a kid, or 18 at least, I'd be rolling a joint. I'd be the one rolling the joint at the party, or it's like that. So you if you're the one rolling the joint, you light the joint, you pass the joint, and then it's like this thing starts to happen, right? And so what I noticed over the time, you doing that a lot, it creates a lot of possibility and chance for communication, right? For, for helping or arguments, one or the other, debating or laughing, whatever. It's like a lot of stuff can happen. A lot of cool stuff can happen too, And so in that, there's a lot of mind stuff that's happening, a lot of social dynamics happening, a lot of communication dynamics happening, a lot of our own insecurities. I used to have very like high amounts of social anxiety, so that's why I started using cannabis, because I would get so nervous, and I use that to kind of make it more nervous. But then that would calm me in some ways. It would get me to see all these conditions more clearly, and I would throw myself in, and I'd smoke herb and then throw myself in like that because it'd be more awkward, and then I would just have to cope with that uncomfort, and so that has its own unique path to it too. Even like I did this talk at the called Toke Talks, and it was I think it was at the Aladdin Theater in Portland. There's a lot of brands in Oregon there, like 14, 15 brands there, all speaking, and I didn't realize it was going to be like 400 or 500 people there, I think it was sold out, and like, I was like, oh no. And I was one of the like headline speakers, and I just didn't speak before. I asked the guy that was putting it on, not to put me on before or after Jeremy Plum, because this guy in Oregon named Jeremy Plum, he's very eloquent, scientific kind of speaker, I'm like, oh man, I'm not that. So I didn't want to come after him, because I always really enjoy his talks, and I'd have felt like I would have like dudded after that. So luckily he put me before him, but either way, I was like kind of nervous because I'm walking around, seeing everything, a lot of people there, everyone on stage making everyone laugh, it was like a comedy hour, I'm like, fuck, I didn't even prepare anything, I was like, oh no. So I was kind of stressed out, so then I started microdosing LSD, because I'm like, man, because I never spoke on stage like that before, like did any big public thing like that. So I figured, if I start microdosing a little acid, by the time I came on, it'd be kind of awkward, and weird, And so I'd figure like, oh, if it was like, then it'd be really weird and awkward. And then I figured if I could pull that off like that, then anytime I had to do it in the future, it was going to be easy, So I just started like, I don't know, maybe I took one hit total, but whatever. So I was like really getting kind of nervous, sweaty, like it's coming on. I'm like, oh man. So I was like, oh, screw this, So I went out in the van. I had this like 96 old Ford Econoline. I still have it. Actually broke down yesterday, on the way to Portland, had my motorcycles in the back. I was getting tuned up for the kid, and thing broke down. Had to bring another vehicle. It was very funny, Anyway, so I used to just only have this Econoline van, and I had like the bed in there. It was like I had my whole setup in there, It was like total kidnapper van, It was crazy, Anyway, so I just went in there and like did my practice, and I have a lot of stuff memorized. I was just, reciting all that stuff and just kind of focusing on. I was like, oh man, I was just trying to calm myself down, thinking I'm like, oh, I can teach like quite a while on each one of these verses, and each verse is 4 lines, and I'm, reciting stuff for like an hour, and I'm, I was thinking, I was like, it's all right, it's just gonna happen. It'll be chill, I just had to think of one thing, like I'll just get one kickoff line, So, and I was just like, so I just thought, I was like, well, I came out and I said, well, if I were to known there were going to be this many people here, I would have prepared something, and everyone's like, and then I was just like, and I rolled into it, It was funny because there was supposed to be a clock at the end of the stage, And so I know how long I only had 10 minutes, so when I went out there, I'd know that like, what's up, so I go out to the end of the stage where the clock's supposed to be and look off the stage and it's not there. I'm like, sick, and so then I just start whatever. Sure enough, I'm going to end it, and like when I'm going to end it, I'm like, someone bobbled the mic and like kind of looked like a kook, and I was like, I don't want to do that. So like had so much focus on putting the mic in the mic stand, like I was like looking in there, put it in, and it was so funny when I rewatched it, like months later, on the TV, on the YouTube or whatever, it stopped like right at 10. I did that like right at 10 minutes, so I was like dialed on the time, but and it was very funny, it was such a relief to be done with that, because I mean, even these like podcasts are kind of like, interesting, but when you're like, got like, and a lot more people see these too, but it's like when when you see when it's like all those people staring at you, like, make me feel something. It's like eggy, you know, feels weird.
It's funny you say that because I can see that, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? To the live aspect of it. But it's kind of funny you say that. We actually have 107 watching us right now. So,
Sick.
you know, I've actually had it happen to where it's the other way, to be honest with you, even though these eyes aren't upon us as like you speak of, like, you know what I mean, in that live aspect. I've had times where we went live and you couldn't see the chat rolling or whatever, and it was just that awkward feeling the other way. It's like, this just isn't right. I'm totally off rhythm. There's one night that it happened and I could sense like crickets. I mean, I could just sense like a distance of emptiness. I was like, oh, what is going on? I couldn't get in rhythm of like talking. It was quite the same but opposite, to be honest with you. It was.
You hear comedians talk about bombing, you know, and that would suck. It would suck, you know, like it would suck, but I'm sure it'd be really good for all your ego that thinks you're cool, you know, all that thing that like ruins your life. I'm sure it'd be good for that. But man, it would like not feel cool, you know. That's just at least my perspective, you know. I hate looking.
It was weird because I wasn't. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
No, you're all good, bro. All good. We're all on the same page.
It was with Matthew Gates, the IPM gentleman. You can get, he's on Growing My Fellow Home Growers one to other things. But it was weird because we both sensed that emptiness. It wasn't just on my end, it was on both ends. It was like super weird, that the cricketness, the emptiness of it was weird. It was just weird.
Yeah, no, it's sometimes it's like that, man. You never know. You can get it, you can not get it. It's like same like athletics, whatever. You know, sometimes you get in the flow and it's like epic art, whatever, music, you know. Man, I could be playing like one chord, you know, and like doing that really good, or playing just one little scale, one string even, you know, and make it sound better than if I'm like trying to play sometimes, you know. Sound like I'm like, I mean, I still suck anyway, but I you know, sometimes it sounds better than other times. When you get a little more in the flow, you know, it's always better, you know. And I think same with these, all the same, you know. You ain't in the flow, everything's like, oh, oh, oh. All the two people tune in are kind of, you know, vibing off that. It's like that, you know. Then everything gets, once it starts, the ball starts rolling that way, it's like hard to recover sometimes, you know.
So I can't help but wonder, you know, you talked on several occasions through this conversation of like having like a calling with the plant. So I in that same aspect, I think we get robbed as consumers, and I'm not necessarily a person that goes into the dispensaries or provisioning centers, but at one point I had to. And I think we were robbed of that sense. We don't get to smell or, you know, get a good hands on with the cannabis that we're about ready to purchase. But do you use that as, you know, a guide as well with strains that you're, you know, fixing to grow? Do you have a, you know, you find a relationship with it, a calling with some strains that you want to put in your garden?
Oh, for sure. The stuff I want to grow, I don't think most people want to smoke. They don't even know what it is, you know, like literally, you know. So even I get sweated from my friends. They're like, dude, you're like growing strains in the 90s, bro. like what's happening, like get with the times, I'm like, eh. I like strains that make you paranoid and all like, super hyper and weird, make your lips sweat, like that's the kind of stuff I like, I like other stuff too. I like OGs and that kind of thing. I like some of these new, some of the new hype cuts are pretty cool, but some of them aren't that great. I don't know. But the marketing's epic on a lot of them. That's 100% for sure. So whatever's happening is it's happening. That's for sure. I just see a lot of the strains that I don't smoke any herb from shops. Actually, I've only bought weed from a shop one time, just because I wanted to buy it one time. I actually bought it from Pharma, from this guy Jeremy Plum. He grew it and it was in some living soil, so I just wanted to try his herb. Other than that, I've never actually bought herb from a dispensary, or I generally don't consume other people's herb either, just because I don't know, I'm kind of weird. If I don't know who the person is personally and stuff, I'd kind of just like, I'm cool with it. Not to be a weirdo. I just have that kind of thing. I wouldn't even actually put myself in the position actually to probably, if I am smoking someone else's herb, we're all probably family anyway. So I'm, it's all totally welcomed, but for some reason, I don't know, for some reason we're smoking my herb all the time, or the herb that we have, which I don't grow personally. I teach the people to grow it, and these good-hearted, amazing individuals just fucking crush. So, and it's a lot of it is because of who they are. We've had people in and working with us that are a little more arrogant and don't want to follow the SOPs, meaning give your all in a way that's from the deepest aspects of your heart, and it shows. But then when we get the ones that do that, you're like, wow, man, fill my jar, bro. Fill my jar with that herb. You're such a nice guy. I love smoking your weed, bro. It's like that, literally, So I don't know. That's just my own experience, because for me, as a, I can grow it pretty well, but when I was able to teach people to grow it as well as me or better, that was fucking cooler, for me, as a teacher in that, it's cooler to teach someone to do something and then them do it as good or better than you, and you smoking that, it's like has this thing, it's really special, so for me at least, I find that thing, and to be able to find people that can do that, it's really nice. Feels good, meaning gives you I'm not really too into hope, but it does give you some hope, it's an interesting world out there. So, doesn't look like it's getting better. We're trying to go to Mars.
That is the attitude. That's the attitude we should all have about sharing the knowledge that we've acquired. And I've been guilty as well for many years of that, to be honest with you. Use what you've learned as a tool to get ahead. Well, I found that to be in life a negative, to be honest with you. As I've gotten older and I look back, I think, man, what a mistake. What a mistake. I could have been teaching what I know, and then like you say, learning back and forth. There's that open source of knowledge, There's nothing wrong with somebody taking that idea you worked hard for and improving on it and taking it to the next level. Sometimes, we're limited on our perspective, our box. You know what I mean? We can only take things so far, and it takes a fresh mind to go, that's good, but if you did this, you know what I mean? You just didn't see it, you know what I mean? And that's the way things should move forward from now on. That's kind of the attitude I've taken the last few years. And I wish I would have started in my journey way with that attitude.
Yeah, it's been really nice, being around a lot of I've always had a lot of younger people in my life, either mentoring or friends or whatever, but it's been cool because it's like their perspective's fresh too, you know. We get kind of stuck as we get older too, you know. Even if it's good, if it's bad, whatever, if it's in our ways, it's valid, it's all good. But better to be like flow state mind, and better to be always willing to change when a more fresh and evolved perspective can help you reach your potential, you know. So, you know, and that sometimes happens from youth. I with my kid, you know, I'm like, man, just trying to like preserve his purity, you know, and his good heart and all this, you know, let him have a good time, do that thing, and I'll give him the, you know, be strict and give him the tools to succeed too. But it's really neat to see that, to see some of my younger friends in their 20s, you know, now late 20s. They were, you know, I met them when they're in their, you know, late teens, and then seeing that happen, or early 20s, late 20s, 30s, and then, you know, it's like it's been really cool to experience, you know. And over the years, man, it's so crazy giving out so much information with this. A lot of times I've felt pretty disheartened too, because I've been stolen from, you know, taken advantage of. And it's very interesting, you know, and with this plant too, the superficialities that come from it, you know. I remember, you know, I used to follow around this band Widespread Panic, and I followed them around the country, and I'd cruise around, see other shows, and I always had really good herb, you know. And back then we were growing like Trinity and stuff like that, Big Sur Holy, and this Trinity smelled like skunk, burnt rubber, tire, you know, so rank. And it was such a, and you know, back in you wander up in like Minnesota or something at an Almond Brothers show, and you get down front with that, or you know, the first Bonnaroo out in Tennessee, you know, like, and you roll down an 85,000 person show down front with a, you know, big hoot of that, it makes you space, you know, a lot of space. And then all the chicks are around, and then all the dudes are being cool, you know, versus if you didn't have that, you know, it wasn't cool, you know, at all, because you just like squeezed your way up to the front of an 80,000 person show. Last show, like guitar player from Widespread Panic's playing before he dies of cancer, you know. It's like, you know, so it's like you see this really interesting thing happen. It's very, to me at those times, sometimes high on acid, whatever, I'm like, man, this is very superficial, you know. Didn't seem like anyone liked me a second ago. I pulled out this dank ass weed, now I'm everyone's best friend. I was like, this is awkward, you know. It went for me a lot like that, because I'm like, man, you didn't like me before when the half breed rolled up in the tight space. I wasn't that cool. And then I bust out this weed, and everyone's like, what's up, bro? You got a lighter? Here you go, man. Anyway, it's been an interesting road with lots of dimensions of my own experience of relating with others, while I'm, you know, generally on a multitude of different entheogens, expanding my mind in one way or another, and trying to just keep it cool and be normal and just like nothing's going on, you know. So that in its own self created an experience, you know. And it was quite fun. And the plant sometimes, you know, herb kept me grounded a lot, but also then accentuated things to where it gets awkward, you know. So if you can utilize all those experiences, you know, it's quite beneficial, I think, you know. I found for myself, because I used to be a freak, you know, and I'm only like kind of a freak, you know. But when I was younger, I wanted to be a youth pastor, you know, and then I turned away from that, and you know, because of, you know, I had a really special experience happen, and you know, this Christian reality or whatever, you know. You know, if you were to say what happened, he's blessed by the Holy Spirit, all this kind of stuff. But you know, I woke up this morning, I was 17, you know, and went to this revival the night before, and this guy Timothy Sherman, you know, he was a speaker, you know, and he spoke for like 3.5 hours, 4 hours, you know, just like blew my mind. You know, he's talking about, you know, talking to Jesus and the devil high on acid, you know. And I was just like, what? This guy's fucking insane, you know, like he's just like giving his testimony before he like became born again and all that, you know. So anyway, I was just like, fuck, man. So that morning I woke up and I was all like, the next morning, buzzed up, you know, like all hair standing on end. I was all tingled out. And I was like, told my girlfriend, I was like, hey, because she was living with me, you know, and even though we were in, you know, I was, what were we, 17? my parents' house, you know. But so I said, oh man, he's gonna call me out tonight and tell me all my spiritual gifts and all this stuff, you know. She's all, yeah, you're fucking crazy, dude. I said, no, I can feel it, you know, it's gonna happen, you know. He's gonna tell me, you know. And I was like, because at that time I was like, you know, wanted to be a youth pastor, wanted to be, you know what my calling was. It was like a whole thing, you know. So anyway, I go and I just keep telling, I was like buzzed up all day, you know, just talking about it. And sure enough, go through the thing. We're at the revival, and it's like going off. He's talking, you know, 3 hours go by, you know, and I was just looking down, I'm like, oh man, maybe I was just tripping, you know, like, and then right when I looked up, he's like, oh, young man, I have something to say to you, you know, come up here, you know. And I said, oh, fuck yeah. You know, I went up there, there's like 300-400 people there, go up there, you know, I'm like, da, da, da. He tells me, he's all, oh, you know, tells me all this cool shit, you know, oh, you have the gift of evangelism, prophecy, speaking in the new tongue, you know, being in the spirit of dance, but not in spirituality, but in sensuality, but spirituality, blah, blah, blah. I just went all this whole thing. You have the, you know, the anointing of John and the Revelator, you know. It was crazy at that time. Like I'd read Revelation like a bunch of times. I was like a freak, you know. I was like reading the Bible a lot, you know. So anyway, I had this experience happen. He's all, you ready to accept Holy Spirit, all this stuff, you know. I was like, oh yeah, whatever, man. I'm like open, you know. I was like, it wasn't like no Benny Hinn thing where he was like throwing people across the room or nothing, you know. But it was like so much energy, I think, you know. And I don't really know, because right, you know, at this point, I don't believe in God. You know, I believe in something that's way beyond that description, you know, like way beyond, you know. So, you know, I believe that what I felt was a part of that thing that's way beyond the description of anything that can be described on earth, you know. So, you know, but so yeah, no, this energy came on me, kind of like fainted me out a little bit, because it was just like, I don't know, it was just way beyond like experience of oxytocin and, you know, endorphin, adrenaline, reality, just like like full. I've experienced it on like, you know, around His Holiness the Dalai Lama and these kind of things and stuff like that, but like not, it's different, you know, more controlled and more, I'm a different human now, I think, maybe too, you know. But anyway, whatever happened, you know. But this, I remember my teacher, you know, his name was Bill Holloman, and he had the whole Bible memorized, you know. So, you know, it's not a big deal to me now, because, you know, in the Buddhist reality, like they memorize 300-page text, like no problem, you know. So it's like, you know, and they have to multiples of, you know, all the higher tantras, some of the lower text, root text, all these things. They memorized a lot of that stuff, you know. So, but then at that time, I was like, wow, man, whole Bible memorized. Also, it's like, he's an honest guy, you know, doing the right thing. He told me, he's all, man, John, it was the weirdest thing I've ever seen, you know. He's all, you're like falling back and you're about to hit this chair, and he's all, you're falling like a leaf, you know, and you're just like moved right out of the way of it and just like slowly like rest right on the ground. He's all, it's the most insane thing I've ever seen. And I was like, weird, you know. So anyway, fast forward a little bit, go to my church, my other church, you know, that I was like going to, and they like start judging me, you know, because I was like told them, because I was all excited, you know, got my spiritual calling. I'm like, fucking gonna like got my thing, you know. They're like, whatever, you know. It was just very strange. I was like, you know, I'm the bad kid because I just want to have sex with my girlfriend, you know, and of course we're gonna go to hell for that, you know, all this stuff. So I was like, man, this don't fit my fit my reality, you know, where I'm at, you know. That's my work for everyone, this realm and stuff, and that's great, you know. And I see a lot of awesome benefit, because I had this experience that's just like, you know, gave me like I had to fear death anymore kind of feeling, you know. And so like, that being said, it wasn't for me, you know. So I was just like, felt really judged, felt like this, and I just like pulled away, you know, really hard. And then I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna change the world still. I'm gonna go back to what I wanted to do before. I'll like go into the Green Berets, like be like best killing machine on earth, like I'll be the best hero ever, you know. So it was like, then I went to that direction. So I started training, and, you know, I was already like training a lot of martial arts and these different things, but I was, you know, really starting to set my sight on that. And then, you know, didn't, you know, thank goodness, because, you know, I wanted to go like Green Beret, Delta, retire, be a mercenary, like killer, just kill bad guys, you know, like it's like fucking crazy person shit, you know. So anyway, then I was in Georgia, you know, and this kid gave me didn't give me, I bought, but he gave me a 10 strip, you know, of LSD, you know, but it was actually a 30 strip, you know, but I thought it was a 10 strip because when he gave it to me, it was a 10 strip, but it looked like a fucking Wrigley's piece of gum, you know, it was like big rectangle, you know, so I just cut like 10 rectangles, you know. I don't know how many, I took like 2, I think, or something, you know, or I don't know, 2.5 or something, you know, I don't remember because I thought they were just regulars, you know, and I got so lit, you know, like really lit, you know. So I was coming down, you know, and when I was coming down, I watched Tim McFarlane's Spawn, you know, this cartoon, you know, very trippy. And I was like very tripped out, you know, because I was like on like fucking 6 acid or something, you know. I don't know. It was like that, you know, everything was like, you know, it was like fucking trippy. You know? So I was watching this cartoon and it's very trippy too. It has like a lot of this weird, it goes red and all this weird, you know, like, you know, trippy cinematography to make you like, you know, make it weird, more trippy, you know, at certain times when it's all getting all intense and it's like that. So I don't know if you know what it is, but it's this guy that's basically, you know, Green Beret, he's like special forces, fucking killing machine, you know. Anyway, gets killed in battle and on his way descending to hell, he sells his soul to this clown-faced devil, you know, and just to go back up and see it, it's like a wife and kid, you know. And when he ascends back up, he's like this fucking demon, you know, Spawn, you know. And he sees his wife, kid, of course, they're like, wow, you know, it's like, but anyway, I was like, holy fuck, you know, that's gonna be me. And I had this like weird epiphany, you know. And you know, because this clown-faced devil run the like war machine, tobacco, alcohol, oil, you know, military industrial complex. It was like embedded into all that. And there was all this weird psychological, like in, you know, and you know, I was on 6 hits of acid too, so it might have been just my head, but like it just felt like that. So I was like, fuck, I ain't gonna be that guy. And then I moved to Eugene, you know, and started, just so happened I'd come in contact with a friend that had some really good herb and some really dank Trinity, and fuck, I was like, what the fuck, you know. And then a year later started growing, you know. So that was kind of like I was a, you know, long-winded snapshot of my early teen youth. All in that process, I was kind of a rowdy kid, you know, rowdy guy. Because I'm like half Korean. I moved every 2 years, you know. So everywhere I went, like, you know, bullies want to fucking see who you were, you know. So then you had to like fight everybody, you know, till you proved what's up, you know. And so then when I got older, I felt like I was the guy that would like fight with, you know, if anyone wanted to fight one of my friends, I'd be the guy that fought, you know. And then I bounced at a bar for a while. And anyway, when I was out in Georgia, we got really scrappy out there. We like got multiple like multi-person bar fights. It sucked, you know. I mean, it was all right, but it was crazy, you know. So then moving to Oregon, you know, even when I first got here, I was still really rowdy, you know, because people would pop off and say weird shit and be really aggressive. And it was just cool. You know, you were supposed to just be aggressive back, but not like knock them out, you know. I didn't know that, you know. So when someone would get in my face or, you know, push me or get close to me, I just fucking, you know, like knock them out or something, you know. And then that's not looked upon highly here. So I calmed down a lot. And when I started growing weed, it helped me calm down a lot too, you know, because you don't want to be the guy knocking people out while you're like growing like illegal grow. So, and you get nicer anyway. And realize, you know, what I realized is my dad told me once, you know, after I got in a really big fight, and it was at the bar because, you know, I was a bouncer there and I got in a fight with 3 Yugo wrestlers. And so I got this scar on my chin, you know, because I was scrapping with a couple of them and then turned, and the heavyweight guy, like full on overhand right to the chin, like knocked my whole chin off, you know. It was like my whole bone was hanging out, you know. It almost knocked me out, you know. It was like my fucking, these white flashes were happening and all this like sound, wow, 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 you know. And I was like, I just like fucking switch flipped and I thought I was going to die. So I just like went crazy, you know, just started fucking blasting everyone around me, punching like crazy, you know. Anyway, my dad's like, man, one of these days you're going to get into something that you're not going to be able to finish, you know, and that's going to suck. You should stop while you're ahead, you know. I realized really it's like most of these guys that want to start shit with people, they can't really fight well, you know. They're bullies, you know. No one stepped up to them, you know. I'm not the biggest guy. I'm like 5'10", but I'm built all right, you know. But usually a lot of guys that wanted to start shit with me are like big guys, you know. 6'3", 6'2", bigger, you know, try to punk you know. I'm not cool with that, you know. So I used to get lots of scraps. Now I don't. I'm changed a little bit.
There's nothing wrong. There's certainly an evolution with life. You know what I mean? I think we're actually meant to go the path where we take for a reason, to be honest with you. And there's a meant time to where we come into our own. I think there's some lessons that we're just meant to learn throughout life, to be honest with you. Because like I said earlier, man, there's so many things I wish I would have learned earlier. And then I look back and I'll go, I probably needed to learn that lesson, as I look back and look at some things. So,
Well,
I say there's definitely a path.
For sure. Yeah. You know how a lot of people say, oh, it's destined, you're destined to do that's destiny, Well, actually, like from a Buddhist perspective, karmically, it kind of is to some degree, because there's so many conditions that are propelling you and everyone around you, and all, even why you like blue, why you do this, why you do that was through all these conditions, So all this conditioning, all these actions, we're going to like the things we like, almost like it happened without us even choosing it, So it's like really like where we're going now, it's happening through, there's so many conditions happening that to derail that, it's like, so it's really kind of like it's gonna, like you're saying, so we all have our path, like His Holiness says, oh, as long as there's 7.6 billion people on earth, there's that many individual spiritual paths, we all have this like unique experience that's, from my perspective, it's based off our actions, So we have to learn all of our stupidity, like the results of that, Like I drank ayahuasca like 30 sometimes, and some of those times, man, were like heavy, like, kind of like when you eat too much acid, and you die, it's like, they're like those times, or at least, I've had some of these experiences too, where maybe you have the vial and you share with everybody, but then every time you share with yourself. The next thing you know, you're fucked up, can't hear, kind of like not thinking very good, especially because you can't hear and you can only see like 10 feet in front of you, because everything else beyond that's like fucking mush fractal world, it's like, it's kind of like, and then you go back to the hotel and you're like, you can't breathe because you're like having an anxiety attack and you just fucking pass out. It's like those type of experiences feel like you're dying actually, like straight, for me, I'm like, oh my God, what you're experiencing, man, I'm going to be nice to my parents. Whatever, you know what I mean? It's going through your head. Wish I would have fucking hugged my dog one more time. No, I'm just kidding. It's more extreme than that. Hopefully, they evolve too, like honey with ayahuasca, the difference of ayahuasca versus LSD for me, man, one's like, LSD is like, you're gonna burn in hell, you stupid motherfucker. It's like, it's like all like really gets kind of scary when it's like, getting trippy. Ayahuasca's like, oh, you're such a stupid fuck, but you're not gonna do it again. I love you. I'll take care of you. It's like a different type of thing. Just throw it all up. It's like a different type of vibe. For some reason, I don't see like, scary hell shit on ayahuasca, but on heavy acid, it gets pretty dark sometimes, So, and sometimes on heavy acid trips, I've had this like pulling, of like the dark side, like wanting my energy and all that to be on its side, but I'm fucking not that, but like what I notice is the dark's always like, come on, bro, give you everything you want here, bro. it's like all weird, you know. I mean, this was like years ago. Now my experience is like not like that. But when I was younger and a little more fucking loony, it was like that, you know. So but then I would always be like, no, you know, I'm on this light side, you know, like, you know, I'm meaning like, you know, I would have a weird narcissistic ego trips back then that if like, you know, I was like carrying the seed for the like chosen one or carrying the seed for the antichrist, you know, like straight, you know, on heavy, like 5-6 hits of acid too much, you know, it'd get weird, you know. So I just sometimes those nights would get really long, you know. It would get nice when they would taper off, you know, but like seems like and then it would get very like, you know, hellish, some of them, and very weird, you know. But with ayahuasca, it was like just not like that, you know. Much more friendly, even though it was still a similar type of you know, here, this is why all you think and do and act the way you act. Look at all these conditions that were happening. Look at all these actions you made, and look at all this results and all the suffering you caused. Do you recognize that shit, man? Because that's like fucked up, you know. And then you're like, oh my god, it's like that's what ayahuasca is like for me, at least it was. But then it gets really beautiful after you like puke a few, like, you know, 20 sometimes, you know, 30 times or whatever, and then the experience gets quite nice. And once you start to you know, evolve a little bit, it seems like, you know, it takes a while though, man. The psychedelic path of poison journey ain't no fun one, really. It's fun, but it's not like, for a while it's like pretty hard, you know, pretty heavy. But that's why my first teacher, Saudi Tupac, you know, he Armando Munoz, he's actually my friend Jose's father, you know. So we're like brothers that way, you know, spiritual fathers, same father. And you know, but anyway, he's a freak, you know, that guy. I forgot what I was gonna say about him, actually. Ayahuasca, something.
Definitely. I think it's crazy the appeal that has to some of us to want to open up them doors in our mind. You know, for anybody just looking in to see somebody like doing that, and then the puking, the convulsing, and everything else would be like, that's a horrible idea. And just to sit there, watch the whole thing go down. Then to have somebody come out of it and go, you gotta try this. You have to, you know what I mean? And want to have that eagerness to open some doors. And I have yet to try the DMT, the ayahuasca, and I would love to try it. There's a couple of great folks that watch the show that are guiding me to some places that near me that have that type of trained or guided sessions going. And I think that'd be awesome to open up that door with. To be honest with you, I've experienced, you know, back in my days quite a bit with LSD back in the days. These days, more just the mushrooms. But you know, even at that, man, I've had that the mushrooms itself. To be honest with you, it was like a 1-2 punch between, you know, my love with cannabis cultivation and the mushrooms, and then walking into the organics type of thing. Kind of coincided. Click, 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 click. You know what I mean? But I actually had a accidental hero stones with some philosopher stones, and
Really?
man, that yeah, it was something, to be honest with you. I've spoke of it quite a few times. What happened in that night wasn't, I didn't see like a vision per se, but it was more like a digital, I would say almost like a download type experience, to where everything came like to a revelation, things that were going on around me and some things that were headed my way, you know. And then immediately after that experience, not only did I see these events around me unfolding, and, you know, some of it already being true, you know. I started seeing like angel numbers, 111, 222, very prevalent. And to the fact that, it was like coincidence at first. And it got to be so in my face. I couldn't turn my head to it anymore and start looking into it. And then, it just, organics, the microbes, like I said, looking into the soil, things changed as well. And, it just keeps evolving. But that night with the mushrooms, it was a wet dose to a dry dose. And that's what got me. And it was an incredible night, man. It made me look at myself in a lot of ways. It made me, kind of look at a lot of things. And it was a very. I'm glad it happened. To be honest with you, I felt at looking back, it needed to happen. To be honest with you, and,
The heavy trips are the best trips,
some
man.
of the things are. Yeah,
I said the heavy trips are the best trips,
it was a good one, that's for sure, man. And what happened that night, I kid you not, everything that I sensed that night didn't end up unfolding, to be honest with you. It was crazy. And then as far as the cannabis thing, it was even at that time. I've been in cannabis for a long time, growing this plant. I mean, my story is irrelevant to what's going on now. But there's come a point where I kind of went in a direction, told myself, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm serious about this, and this is the direction I'm going. And actually, at that point, it was like passing seeds, selling seeds, meeting more and more people. I seen the impact it was having, and I was like, all right, I'm all in. And then life passes, and I seen as life got a little bit cloudy lately, I seen the numbers kind of fade a little bit. They weren't there as prevalent as they were. And then I actually had not quite a bottom, but I had one of those moments where I had to, take a good look at self, do a little, analyzation of what was in front of me and what was important and what roads I should take. And that was a renewing in this project. I told myself again, all in on this thing. And again, as soon as I made that commitment with myself, I put it in my mind and in my heart and put it out, the numbers came back. The numbers came back just as prevalent as when they first appeared. And it was weird to kind of know that, you're on the right path. It's weird how the numbers have worked with me, but I contributed to that door being opened through that psychedelic experience, which makes me all the more open to want to see what unlocking with some DMT or some ayahuasca could further, you know, expand some spirituality and some knowledge in my life as well.
Yeah, man, it's been a really interesting path with it, like that's why I was getting to earlier, with my first teacher, my friend's father. That's why we started studying Buddhism, is because that's I actually met it in Peru. That's where I come in contact with it, is through him. Because we utilize this information so we can make sense of the experience. And to have a solid core foundation of knowledge, psychological understanding, and epistemology that really can give us such an amazing framework and tool to restructure our mind after you delete, because for us, you'd say, he's like, man, right now your brain is full of all this information that you don't need. It's like a hard drive that's full and your computer's not working. So you need to delete some files and make some room so you can memorize some stuff. Here's the stuff. And that's kind of how it started, one experience, there's very, very huge, but there's this Eroyante Tamba ruins in the Sacred Valley of Peru, right at the tip, it's where you get the train to go to Aguas Calientes, where Machu Picchu is, but anyway, there's a sacrificial rock there, Eroyante Tamba ruins. It's quite big, I think it's like 12 feet by 10 feet or something. Cut out for a human body, you mold. Very trippy, so we go in at night, and do some stuff on top, sing some songs, have some San Pedro, all kinds of very interesting initiations happen that night. You drink San Pedro off of the Puma head, off the 400-ton rock, on top of the ruin, after you're there doing ceremony for a while. Then you go down to the sacrificial rock, and then you get on the mold, and he loads you like the salvia pipe of what he did when he is like 5-time, 10-time, 5-time, 10-time extract on some salvia leaf, like the sandwich stack of 5-time extract, 10-time extract. And so you're in this mold, right? And it's in the middle of the night, it's like epic, because Ollanta Tamba ruins like hundreds of feet of terraces, it's like insane, it's insane, So anyway, get in there, and you're ready to take salvia, and salvia is kind of intense, it's not the it's not very, I don't know if you've done that one, but it's not very people say DMT is intense. I think salvia is more intense. But at least DMT is pretty, For me, salvia is like, wow, holy shit. So anyway, at least there, So get there and take the pipe. He's there. He's got 2 pipes loaded, or like ready to load the one. Like boom, 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 boom. So you take the hit, and when you exhale, you don't take in oxygen. You just take the hit again. So you do that. Oh, exhale until you're like passing out, and he's like following you with the pipe in your mouth, and Umberto's like resting your head down. He's like, oh, boom, and you like are out, and that experience was like, I don't know, man, that was on another level one for me, that makes all the other experiences kind of mellow, but it'd be like the voidness, all the space in between all matter became aware, right? But there's no conscious entanglement of John anymore, So it was very trippy, It like felt like a black near attainment or something, It's like a meaning like it's just the voidness became conscious, But then there was no matter, And that was interesting, And then once I started to reformulate, say, it was like the movie the Fifth Element, when they had the alien arm in the case, and they sprayed they made the woman, and it just like, it felt like I was being created into a mold, again. And once there was enough cellular coagulation that happened, and my consciousness became entangled with my body again, it was like, it was very trippy, It was much grander and deeper than that, but like, it's very strange, and very like beyond you, And so, coming back, I remember, I see his face start to particleize, and like come to where I could see it, and then he tells me, he's all, oh man, you just been defragmented. He's all, just relax. He's all, you come back, don't want to come back all weird. He says, So I was just like, oh man. And I'd already lifted my back off the rock, because there's a little rock. There's a rock there in your back, And I was thinking, oh man, I hope I didn't fuck my spine up, Just like, weird, But anyway, that experience was quite big, and so then I was down there 6 months later on the solstice, too. And I was getting ready to smoke it again on the rock, same thing, I get up and he's all like, man, you want to do this again? I said, oh no, I thought I had to. He's all like, oh no, bro, you don't have to. I only done it once here. He's all, what'd you experience? I told him what I experienced, my thing. He's all, oh no, you fully got the point, bro. It's all good. Cause there's a lot of other stuff that I like can't talk about, obviously, but I just gave the snapshot non-psychological analysis version, you know, the like slingshot version, pew, you know, instead. But anyway, that experience was like I'm good if I don't do salvia ever again, you know, because like it's quite an experience, you know, that at least there on that rock. I mean, I've done it since then. I just haven't done it like that, you know, meaning with that whole thing, like on the Oracle, you know, like plugged into the thing in the tip of the Sacred Valley of Peru. And, you know, it's like, if you've been there, it's like, oh, it's such a thing there, you know? So it's like on another level, you know? Really cool place, really cool energy. And we have it really good there because, you know, we've paid our dues there. We've hiked to the top of a lot of the mountains and put our blood, sweat, and tears all over that place, you know, with the family, and really gave our all to the family there and to where we're family there, you know. So it's now it's a different experience. So we usually, when we go there, we go surf, you know, instead of go like bust our balls up there, you know. We'll go to the mountains this time when we go too, but mainly it'll probably be to surf because, you know, my brother has a spot right at some amazing waves. So get conditioned. I broke my back last year, so I didn't surf all winter. Actually, so I just snowboarded. So that's why I've been snowboarding a lot because yeah, broke my back pretty bad last year. So now I'm gonna go back down to Peru and recondition down there, surf for a little bit after finish some work and some jobs over this next month or so.
How the heck did you break your back?
Oh, climbing. I fell and there's a malfunction with the gree, and you know, something happened, fucking hand jammed it, not my hand, my climbing partner's hand, and fucking zipped me to the ground, broke my back. I fell like 30 feet, smashed my back. Spinal. Literally. I broke my spinous process of my T1, 2, 3, and 4, completely crushed them, you know, flat. They obliterated. And then my T1 vertebra complex fractured. I broke 2 ribs, but I had a back weird disc that was hurting, you know, for like a year, and that fall fixed that. So that was interesting. That stopped hurting instantly. The rest of the shit fucking exploded. So yeah, I just went back to that spot the other day. Actually, I was snowboarding in Squaw with my kid. We were just hitting the park and shit, and then afternoon we went back to Lover's Leap, and I grabbed a big fucking chunk of the rock, you know, that I landed and broke in half because I broke in half this slab, this granite slab when I landed. It was trippy, man. So I'm lucky to be alive, but it's sick, you know. It was interesting.
You sound like you've lived a pretty amazing life, to be honest with you. I love the aspect that you kind of constantly pushing the edge. It seems like I think you could be described as a little bit of an adrenaline junkie. Is that not correct? I would think a little bit of a correct description for you.
I don't know about a junkie, but yeah, no, it's like there's this thing that happens when you're you know, experiencing a high level activity in a flow state, you know, and then when you put that with adrenaline, you know, because it's like for me, it takes a lot for my adrenaline to flow, you know, so it does, you know, like there's some things when I were at, you know, hitting some stuff at Mammoth, you know, hitting some stuff at Mount Baker for sure, you know. Mount Baker's sketchy, you know, it's sick. It's like you can die there instantly, you know, because it's like everywhere that's sick, you have to cross the ropes to get to, and all the ropes say, oh, you go here, you can die, you know, cliffs, danger, blah. And there's like 200, 300 foot cliffs everywhere, fucking 100-foot cliffs, chutes everywhere. It's fucking gnarly, you know. So yeah, that gets it going too, you know, but you know, more it's like the flow state that you're going for, you know, because they say that if you experience high level like anything in flow state, it's supposed to advance the neurogenesis and advance the state of perception and awareness of mind by like certain percentage, you know. I don't know the exact number, so I'm not going to shoot it off like I do, but you can see it, you know, because if you can make your body work in all those conditions at high speed, high intensity, high muscle tension, high awareness of like mind function, you know, then that advances, right? So then that's like a workout. And if you can do that in a flow state, then that's more what I'm kind of
I know that feeling that you're referring to.
so that feeling's the kind of the thing.
Maybe junkie was a wrong term.
No, junkies, I mean, it's good too, I'm definitely a junkie for it, but it's like
Well,
you
I say that because it seems like you keep pushing it, and it's it's a daily thing. So I guess with that being said, yes, yeah, maybe not, but I know that state that you're talking about when you can hit that moment. You know what I mean? When everything seems to stop, when you're kind of in control of the moment. It almost seems paused, uh, the surreal moment. And it's if you can hit that moment, it is amazing. Like you can control everything in that second. It's
yeah, time
I
dissolves. There is no time there. It's only what's happening. So if you can dissolve time just by being in this certain state of awareness, that's fucking sick.
it is, and yeah, I appreciate the fact that you're striving to keep yourself in that, close to that state, I should say. You know what I mean? It's a good place to be or try to be in. You know, I appreciate it for sure. Makes me feel lazy. It makes me feel a little lazy.
I'm lazy too, bro. But that's for sure. We all do what we do and try to do what we do, but there's a lot of conditions. So everything I try to do with my all, because I'm like kind of got like, I'm not OCD, but you know what I mean? I'm very, it's like that. People are like that. Everyone has their own style and their own thing, and that's the beauty, some things I don't like about this kind of thing. I'm really intense, man. Like people think I'm being a freak when I'm just like being a happy guy, just because I get all intense, I'm like just like psyched about it. But or I am in being intense, but I'm not being like angry. I just have a lot of energy and a lot of power. So that comes off in certain ways when it's perceived like this or like that, when actually it's none of that, you know.
Another thing I think to be said about, that state or, the way you live life is, uh, when you push yourself into that state, I think it's an excellent way of keeping you young, to be honest with you, the fountain of youth. When you're pushing yourself into that state, and it's kind of rejuvenation on the downside. You push your body to the max, and now there's that healing, the rebirth in your body. And I think that is what kind of keeps you young. Keeps you moving forward. Just that constant rejuvenation of your body, getting killing off the old, and rebirth of the new in the recovery state. I think, yeah, it will keep you young for a long time, to be honest with you. And that's key. I think that feeling young, that recovery time, that rejuvenation. Man, I'm sore, but I feel good. I think that's what, in the long run, will keep us young and healthy. Yeah.
For sure, man. For sure. I've been feeling old this year, man, but I've been feeling young too because I'm riding around with a kid. I taught my kid to snowboard, and he's doing really good, man. So I'm psyched. We've been hitting the park and stuff, and oh yeah, a joint and split a beer or something, split one something. Yeah, no, it was really cool because he's hitting all the jumps, so I'm hitting the jumps. And like, so it's been kind of fun. I'm feeling kind of young, except my knees. My knees don't feel young. I had like knee surgery in December because I had a meniscus that was like ripped from surfing for like 3 years, and it would fucking come out. And I would have to do this weird thing with my knee and open my knee joint so the meniscus would pop in. And like, that sucked because it was kind of fucking with my sleep at the end there. And, you know, imagine surfing, you know, you like take it on a wave or something and you're like, your meniscus pops out and you can't swim. You can't use that right leg, you know, so you underwater, you have to like do this thing with your knee and open your knee socket and then it works. Then you can swim. It's like fucking weird, you know? So this year I got tuned up, you know, fucking smashed my back, get my knee surgery. And then, so now I rehabilitated with snowboarding, and because it's quite easy, you know, easy board sport versus surfing and stuff like that. Consequences are a little more minor. No sharks, you know, don't drown, you know. No, I'm just kidding. But you can send it off a cliff or something, you know. But like, it's funny this time at Man, it was really like deep powder. We were having a good one. And fuck, I almost like went off a cliff, funk, like right off the side, you know. I just stood there, you know. It was gnarly. Sat there. My buddy pulled me back, you know. It was sketch, you know. It's good to have a partner, you know, especially when you can count on.
Yeah, it sounds like you're living a good life over there, to be honest with you. And, you know, it gives me encouragement. You know, a lot of people with injuries like that, I'm 49. Most people
You're
are
49.
my age.
Sick. You look good for 49, bro.
Thank you. Thank you. I guarantee I'd look a lot better if I was living the life that you were doing. I try to stay active, but I know
you might have a sunburn. You have to use some sunscreen, bro.
This is the perfect lifestyle or look for your kind of lifestyle.
That's why I have it.
You wake up and go, man.
Like my kid was like, "Dad, your hair's getting kind of long." I was like, "Oh, I know, I need to shave it. I've been lazy." It's the tech, you know. Except you get sunburned a little bit, but whatever, you know. Get tan. You don't look like you get much tan, you know.
I'm just getting back out into this, you know, sun. It's shit. Michigan winters up here where I'm at. I'm in Michigan, a little northern. Yeah, usually it's a blessing. This is some redness I wouldn't normally see for like another month at least.
Hey, I saw it
like a, oh man, this is the first year since I've come up here that I've actually seen the ground this early, to be honest with you. Usually it snows in like October, and I don't see the ground until May. There's sometimes we're still getting snow. No, I'm still getting snow in April.
Wow.
Yeah.
My goodness. That's kind of cool though. At least it's not wet.
It's cool, but it's not cool, man. I'm in the middle of the woods too, so it doesn't help anything. So like, I'm serious, man. Summertime, like nightly travel, it's not that bad. You know, it's nice night. Yeah, you break down. Yeah, I could use a walk. You know, it's a half hour, 45 minutes from anything. You know what I mean? There's sections where you pass this gas station, you've got a half hour before you see anything else, and then there's nothing but trees and crickets in every direction. So like in the wintertime when it's cold and slippery and the sun's going down about 5 o'clock, you know, you're like, I don't need nothing. I can wait till tomorrow. I'll get up early and make, you know what I mean? So there's times where you don't leave that often during the winter. And it's
sounds awesome.
When weather breaks, yeah, I'm ready to go some cannabis events, shake some hands. Woo!
For real, get some hugs. You're like, dude, what's up? Fuck.
Exactly.
Sick. Yeah, man.
So, what strains are you cultivating currently?
Well, I just did a bunch of pheno hunting. Well, not really pheno hunting, more testing, but I reversed the Skywalker OG and then put that by some stuff, and then like the Luke Skywalker by Piscotti. There's like 4 phenos of that are all fucking insane. This Sail Hayton that I just did, it's the Putang by Hazy Kush Fam. That's epic, like epic, you know. What else? Some Hazy Girl Fam, epic. Like they turned out really good. I think even better than the original one. So I thought that was kind of funny. I don't know if that's normal, but that's life, I guess. What else? Some Skywalker by GMO. And those turned out really good. Hazy Kush by Golden turned out, yeah, a lot of those turned out all really good. I'm pretty psyched on this whole little run. I did basically the Skywalker OG by a bunch of the stuff I have that I wanted to. I just did it for myself, like an in-house breeding project, you know, that I'm going to try to find some, you know, find some really desirable stuff that's unique and that nobody has, you know. So the Biscotti crosses are really nice. There's 4 of those, 2 green ones and 2 purple ones, and they're that are nice. I mean, they're all were nice, but those are the ones that are standouts. One Skywalker by GMO cross is looking really bomb, like really, really bomb. The Skywalker by Tenzins are both looking awesome. So we're pretty psyched on all those, you know, really psyched actually. Yeah, this purple Hindu Kush is like on another level, like pretty much like the best strain I got right now. I think, I don't know, I really like it a lot. That and some OG and some Hazy Kush, I think I'd be just all set, you know, literally. So it's really, really good. Purple, like orange, kind of cookie, but gas, like fuel, very trippy. It's very good strain. You know, I got it from Mr. Bob Hemphill. He's a fucking G. Thank you so much. Love this strain. But yeah, it's sick, you know. It's fucking good. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been rocking, you know. I've been liking. Excited about a lot of that stuff. Got a lot of this new hype stuff too. Excited to get rolling with some of that, you know. But I don't know, man. So much stuff, so many strains, so much good herbs, so much things like personal choice. What sucks? I'm like, what I like to smoke. I like a lot of the fuels. I like the chem stuff. I like OGs. I like hazes. But like my friend's like, man, that's so 90s, bro. Give it the times, you know. I'm just like, oh man. So, you know, I have this LA Kush cake that I really like a lot. It's really nice. This cut, super dank, super good. Yeah.
So
How about you?
they're in the. Wow, I've got a bunch of stuff going, mainly some testers. And I'm right there with you. I don't necessarily like to grow the hype either. I like to be the one when I show up, everybody's like, "What's this?" You know what I mean? This is, and I mean, I prefer that, to be honest with you. They're asking in chat. I want to make sure and get it right about the golden pineapple thing.
Yeah.
Jack Greenstock says, "Can you please ask him about the golden pineapple strain he made? That would put me in the flow state." So you want to talk about the golden pineapple a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, the golden pineapple is a really nice strain, and smell and taste and hive. It's like that. It was been like a favorite for a long time for a lot of people. So I got the cut from an Instagram handle, Shag Glass. And I didn't get it from him. I got it from someone he knows, but he brought it to Eugene. And this was, I don't know how many years ago it was now, maybe 18 years ago now. It's been a minute, you know. So we didn't know what it was, you know. It was just, we got it as pineapple. And the kids that gave it to us, you know, they weren't really like, it wasn't, I don't know, it didn't seem like that they were having much luck with it. I don't really know what the story was, but we got it. And first run, it was like bang. We were like psych, you know. It was pretty dank, produced a lot, really epic high, smelled like epic, you know. But that being said, crossed a lot of stuff to it that made the hazy kush. We don't really know the genetics of it, but what we're thinking it is it's either, what I thought it was. The reason I named it golden pineapple is because I got it as pineapple. I looked in the Canon Bible and it had the golden pineapple in there, and the picture they had in there like kind of matched the trichome look. And the description was exactly the same. So I was like, oh, maybe it's a strain, from Wally Duck. And then later, I was my friend, Mike, he was with Mr. Soul, Brother Grimm. He's saying, oh, maybe it's maybe it's one of the like Dank Cindy 99 cuts, or maybe it is the White Widow by Cindy 99, because that's what there's that going around too, that it's that, but I don't really know, because when we do the tests at Philos, it doesn't tag up as White Widow anywhere. It doesn't connect to White Widow anywhere. So, you know how that goes with a strain like White Widow. Like, it's like, you never know with that one, because I don't know someone that's created or has the cut, or it's like that, I haven't seen that really yet personally, it rolled around Eugene for that White Widow cut for a little while, and it was really dank. It was like a more bracked out, tight brack looking, like train wreck looking plant, but it's pretty epic, but I haven't seen it since then. Not in and the White Widow that I saw that like was going around here looked totally different. So maybe I saw the wrong thing or whatever. I don't really know. That either way though, I just reversed the golden. I have a bunch of pollen that I'm gonna put back by itself. And I'm going to get those into testing, so I'll have that. And also, I have the hazy that I put back by the pollen, put back by the golden, and with them, So I think there was like 7 or 8 of those. They're going to be getting done soon, and they're really, really nice. So yeah, they're in testing right now. They're going to be available. I have a hazy kush by golden, a hazy kush by a hazy kush. So pretty psyched on that stuff. It turned out really well.
Sounds amazing. John in chat is asking if you could talk about your projects in India providing water to the community.
Yeah. I first went there to Bodh Gaya in 2000, at the end of 2011, 2012. His Holiness the Dalai Lama was given a Kala Chakra initiation there. So I went there for that. I met my 2 friends there then that are helping me with this project, Santosh and Bakar. So they approached me then, and we just became friends, and we have been friends since. And I've been talking to them about trying to do a project there. They want me to help them with certain things, but I'm like, nah, I'll help you with do a project for the community, figure something out to where we can help, and do something cool, and this just came about. It's been, we know each other for about 10 years now, almost 10 years. So there's a lot of trust, a lot, every time I go to the Bodh Gaya, I will hang out with them. I do all my duties and do what I have to do with, with the teachings, or with, the venerables, or with my friends, or whatever. And then, later I'll cruise around with them. We'll go do whatever, So anyway, there's a lot of trust there and everything. So they approached me with this project, said, hey, well, we should maybe do a well. There was this one person that did one of these wells in this village, and this village is stoked, they makes them really happy, blah, blah, blah. So I said, yeah, let's do one, So I said, give me all the sheet, how much everything costs, all the what all the parts, what the labor, whatever, the whole bill, and tell me how much it costs. Let me see it, And then once you do all that, you give me, and then I'll send you the money, and we'll do one up, But you show me every step, like video. Hey man, here's where the well is going. Hey John, it's the village where it's going. Do all the thing, And so they did step by step by step by step by step, and it went to completion, and it was really, really easy, you know. It's $700, you know, and hopefully they, you know, get something out of it or whatever. I don't really know. You know, they just gave me the cost. I did the calculation. Everyone's like happy. They seem to be psyched. They're psyched on helping, you know. That's really like, they're just stoked, you know. Doesn't take much to survive in India. And so when, you know, like I've had other people help them with giving them like, you know, little offerings on the side and stuff. So it's like, it's going really good, you know. So they're just finding all the villages around Bodh Gaya. There's lots of poor villages because Bihar state in India is very poor, you know, one of the poorest in India. So, you know, these people don't have clean water. It's heavy, you know, like people don't understand here, you know. It's like, it's pretty chill here. There's like, fuck man, it's like tough, you know, tough. Even if you got money, it's tough, you know. So if you don't have money, it's like tough, you know. It's hard, you know. So anyway, $700 gets us done. Now we've done 13. I have about 15 people in line to do waiting, you know, their turn to do another well. So it's just been sick, you know. People are psyched. Our goal is to do 34 because His Holiness the Dalai Lama has given 34 Kala Chakra initiations. The last one was in Bodh Gaya. You know, I just have my things with numbers too, you know, all the numbers you saw, all the stuff you said, it's all day for me, you know, like, so, but anyway, with these, I was first going to do 21, you know, cause there's 21 taras, you know, and I'm like, oh, these 21. And I'm like, oh no, we do 34 because 21 is going to happen pretty quick, you know, because we already got that past that, you know, so in the sense of the funding, you know, so it's just something that me and my two friends are doing. People Venmo me the money. And then I just Western Union them the money. I pay all the fees, you know, and whatever. And if, you know, some people have been just donating like, you know, $100, $50. I'm compiling all those, do well, you know. I'll like come in and I'll pitch in extra on a well if someone's like wants to do one, and you know, maybe they only have $600, they only have $500. I'll put 2 in there. I'll bring 2 from somewhere else and just like making them happen, you know. It's fucking sick, you know. It's really cool, you know, because it's cool, you know. It's like, well, you offer these people water. It's like, what? I don't have that. I mean, like, if you've been there, man, it's like gnarly, dude. Like the lotus ponds and the ponds around there, it's just like all like sus, you know. It's gross.
Pretty damn awesome, man. That is, man. Just all around awesome. I'm glad to see that there's people out there that still got a heart doing great stuff like that.
Yeah, no, it's a
you know, at some point, I think COVID was here to send. I don't want to talk no more than the word, but I think you know, I think it was here to kind of put us in check. You know, I think everybody were at one point were scrambling off into their own directions, and even in the beginning of this, it was disheartening to see how things were going. But I think things are coming back. It made humanity in general check themselves a little bit on how we should interact with one another, and especially during these hard times. But it's awesome to see that you and other people have got a good heart to go help others. Water's a basic need. We take for granted our life here, and yet here people, there's still places out there, communities that don't at least have a well. It's still kind of, it's mind blowing. You know what I mean? I think a lot of us don't even consider the fact that that's the life for people still.
For sure, man. That's for sure. It's heavy out there, man. If everyone could come together, and it doesn't matter what you think or your belief systems, all that, but like the basic needs of humanity, we should all come together for that. Like what the hell's wrong with people? It's like it's crazy. Got people like Musk or like Bezos or something, like Gates. They could change the world for the better. Like in a way that's like, just make it super cool, instantly, instead you like go to Mars, like really? You're trying to block out the sun, you fucking moron, Like, what is wrong with these people? You know, it's like on another fucking level of idiotic. You know, it's like so stupid. Some of these ideas. You know, in my opinion, that's just my perspective. You know, I'm like, man, we got this cool planet here. You know, let's put all our resources into making it awesome and helping everyone on it, and then it'll be cool. You know. And they're like, no, let's spend all the money go to Mars. You know, fuck, man. I saw Total Recall. That movie sucked. You know, I don't want to live in that movie. You know, I was like, shit. You know, I was like,
So is there any place that if somebody wanted to donate to the cause, because it is a pretty awesome cause. Is there a place that they could reach out and donate to
yeah,
this to help you out?
they just hit the DM on Instagram, you know, Green Bodhi, and say, hey, I'd like to support, and then I'll shoot them my Venmo. And, you know, basically I just been having people put in their hashtag water is life, you know, wells for villagers. And then that's my timeline list of who's next. You know, I have some people that have put in on PayPal too. So I have them interjected in there, you know, but like, that's how sophisticated I am with it. Some
Red
people,
pill and chat. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
oh no,
off.
it's all good. It's all good.
Uh, I was gonna say, Red Pill and Chat wanted to say, can you ask him about Trinity? Where did it go? It used to be a classic where I'm at. Haven't seen it since 8, and I would like to see something that's got them skunky burnt rubber turbs too. Is it something that's still around?
I mean, I got the Trinity back a while ago. I don't know, 8 years ago, and it wasn't the same one. I didn't think personally. The one that was back before was really, really nice, really good, but I don't know, you know, the one that I had again, I didn't really like so much. So then I wasn't sure if it was the right one or if it was just that what I had then and my perspective was smaller than what it is now. So maybe you know, it wasn't as awesome now as was then, you know, but I don't really know, you know, I really liked it back in the day. It was a classic, you know, super classic. But the one that I got, you know, and like I let it go again too because I just didn't like it. It had everything, had the smell, had the look, but for some reason just didn't work the same for me, and I wasn't as attracted to it, so I wasn't attached to it the same, you know. It was like testing at about 18%. It wasn't quite as skunky, and it wasn't quite as like grease tire, you know. So then I was like, so I don't really know where it's at now. I'm sure it's around Eugene though here, you know. It's around for sure. That cut is not the real one.
Uh, uh, Chad Westport in chat, much respect to you, Chad. Would like to know your top 3 SOPs if you'd like to share.
SOPs like Grotex.
I believe that's what he's talking about. Oh.
I've been using this gypsum and lignite instead of like you know, CalMag and stuff. That's nice. It's dry powder, you know, milliliter a gallon, half milliliter a gallon. That's a good alternative to your bottled CalMag stuff. And the lignite is, I think that's how you sound. Fucking no, it's like 00, or I don't know what the number is, but the potassium number is like 26 or something, you know. So it's a nice if you don't want to use cal, or if you want to alternate, it's kind of cool. EM's huge. Terraganics at Terraganics. on Instagram, EM Mother Culture. It's fucking amazing. You can drink it too, the Pro EM one. You can get it. It's like amazing probiotic. So, I mean, I'm just giving you little pieces. I'm not giving you like SOPs or anything. It's like, but I can give you little things that change your life or your growing thing, like I just did. The EM's on another level. I think everyone should use it because it's amazing. You can like drop a lot of this like expensive bullshit. Really, and just use that. If you use Hygrozyme, if you use like Mammoth, if you use any of those like microbial, anything like that, you can just like and just use this. That's just my perspective. So if you need a hook on that, or you need any info on that, hit me up. It's all that. Like on Instagram. It's easy. I'm still a real person that answers the DMs, unless you're a jerk, and then I just block you, or whatever. I'm really quick to block people.
If you're rude. I was grateful that you responded to my DMs as quickly as you did. I was very grateful. And even hearing that, I'm grateful I wasn't the one of the blocks. I could see that with the lead in. Fucking talking shit, block.
There's a couple funny handles that I the one of them is like "fuck you" something. I was like, he hit me up with the DM and it just said "fuck you" on there. I was like, that is so funny, bro. I had to, but like, no, like literally some people get in the DM, man, they get all like emotional and get all weird, and tell me how fucking stupid and how like I'm all this and that, just FYI, like I'm not into politics. I think it's a bunch of bullshit. I think politicians are, for the most part, except, Senator Brzezinski here and some guys here in Oregon, they're a bunch of puppets like sold, fully for whatever they're getting sold for, And so it's like, but I like to poke my finger at it all because I think it's a big, giant soup of shit, and that's just, someone hit up the DM today. Oh man, fucking politics, blah, 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 blah. I was like, no, man, I'm saying, because I think they all suck, Oh, really? Oh yeah, no, they all suck. Trump sucked. Biden sucks. They all suck, You know why? Because they're paid to the highest bidder kind of suck, That's just my perspective, whatever. So I think it's funny when people get triggered by like stories, on the DM. They post stories just to be funny, I'm like, everyone's like, you're like, wow. Must be trippy to jump into someone's DM to tell them how irritated you are, That must be an interesting type of mind, Some people I say
it's a selfish abuse. It really.
It's trippy, I have to tell people, I was like, hey, bro, you're following me, and you came into my DM upset, meaning you came into another man's DM that you're following, and then you wanted to be rude to that person. It's like, what? Hello. Interesting. So it's really interesting with this kind of like separation. Do you know what I mean? Most people back in the, how it was like when we were younger, nobody was being rude to anybody, man, because it was a fight. Like, just how it goes, it wasn't like no big deal. It's you fight, Why are you looking at me that long? We're fighting, It was like, I remember it was like that at one time. That sucked. That sucked, But that was life.
Things have changed in a lot of weird ways. What is acceptable these days, what people can say to each other without, triggering them, and what little can be said in some instances and still even make even bigger waves. at some point.
Well, I mean,
It's crazy nowadays.
if there was talk of Dr. Seuss being canceled, whatever the fuck being canceled means, like that is stupid, and also like Sesame Street. Oh, now that's offensive. Stupid, that is stupid. I never heard something so stupid, I never heard anything more inclusive than Sesame Street. Personally, like I thought everything was cool and allowed in Sesame Street, that's what I got out of it my whole life. But, you know, even the garbage guy living in the fucking dumpster and that was grouchy asshole was cool still, So it's like, offensive now, huh? Oh, interesting. You guys are stupid, That's what's up. Stupid. Like Eminem, I think he canceled cancel culture, didn't he, with this video? He did this cartoon video, really offensive, like cancel culture video. I think that canceled cancel culture, didn't it? Done by Eminem.
I had to keep up on some of that shit, to be honest with you. And some of that shit just makes me feel old, to be honest with you. I have to, like, the Eminem thing, I had to, like, stop. I got 3 kids, 25, 21, 17. I was talking about Eminem. They're like, they went off on me. I'm like, what happened? Fill me in. Why should I be hating Eminem now? What's going on? I mean, what really? It's, some of that shit just blows my mind. It really does. That how quickly it can happen, and other people jump on it. It's like, wow,
Well,
really? There's just all this other shit going on, and this is what you guys focus on. You know what I mean? We can't collectively put this energy into, something good, solving some problems. Okay, yeah. We must be bored, or we've solved all humanity's problems or something, that we have to like take all this energy and just pile it on. Oh, it's weird. It's weird.
It is, man. It's crazy, It's like really like we all want to get along is what's crazy, But not all, but like most people, they want to be like happy. They want to get along with others. They want to like be included. That's like the reality, But also the human has this weird mentality that they have this like mob mentality that that it's like once it starts going, everyone gets all involved. It's like it has its mind of its own almost, I mean, they manipulated like entire consumerism reality in the 30s, like with I forgot the psychologist's name. But anyway, working with the government, and they basically analyzed riot mentality and mob mentality, and they said, oh, humans work off fear and desire, so we'll start marketing to that. And they use propaganda mentality and marketing to market towards that with fear and desire instead of practicality and logic, these kind of things, So then it's like, oh, you'll need your Ford truck because you'll get all these women and your neighbor will be jealous and envious, whatever, instead of like, oh, you'll get more work done, you'll save money with this truck, get better gas mileage, It's like, it's not how they're selling it anymore, It's like, oh, you're gonna be cool, man, you drink this beer. We're gonna be cool, you smoke this cig. You're gonna be cool, you do this thing, So it's like, you can see what it did to humanity, The whole thing's broken, But it's okay, because no matter how broken anything is, people can still help others, and still do the thing, And still, like Isolina says, oh, within 100 years, a lot of the earth is going to be like a desert, is what a lot of the high level scientists are actually saying, So we should all be nice to each other because it's going to be difficult, It's very simple, really easy, but it's actually hard because the human condition is quite self-centered, We all are, not all of us, but I am. So I assume if I am, most other people are too, because I'm like a normal person. So, meaning I help others, but still I want to help myself. I like to go snowboarding. That's a self-centered thing. I like to help my kid with it, but my kid's like a little mini me. So, it's like helping myself too, So then it's like, oh shit, I better help others outside. So that's why with the herb, it's like all the herb that you cultivate, you can, if you entangle it with the proper intention, everyone has that nice experience of peace of mind, then everything comes full circle, and that's a powerful tool that we can do that with, food, experience, all these different things, So, thanks. Oh, yeah. I'm drinking these, all these fruity beers, I drink them in a little mini glass. I have like one or two of these. They're like these little slushy beers. They've been pretty nice, man. Oh, that's good. What is it? Oh, wow. This one from Hans Grollo. Dank, brother. That's sick. Good. I don't know which one it is, but it's fucking good. Oh, the Great Notion one. Oh, yeah. Yummy. Yummy. My new grower up in Portland. I have a rec grow there, and he's really nice and does a really good job. Him and my other grower there, Bodhi. His name's Bodhi. It's funny. My son named Bodhi. My grower named Bodhi. I didn't name my grower. His parents did, but just a little coincidence though. His parents must have been hippies or something. But anyway, they're crushing it. They both have like best heart, like best attitude, really cool, doing a great job, listen well, they're learning well, and they're doing what I'm sharing with them to do. So it's fucking epic, But he gave me this. We have this place here that gets these kind of fruity things. So I pick up a bunch of them and I give them to them up there, and so it's been kind of a fad, I don't know if you drink at all,
like but I don't, but I do not drink, but I don't hate on those who do. To each their own, as long as you're not hurting anybody else. You know what I mean?
I don't drink much. I like I said, I drink like a half a beer, or like maybe I'll drink two of these, but that's my drinking thing. Maybe do that like 1, 2, 3 times a week, whenever I feel like it. But so it's nice, I take vows not to get intoxicated, so I mean, I've been fracted on those a little bit at times, but intoxication is a unique word, so
yeah, I don't know why. I actually gave up alcohol with my first child, to be honest with you. So it'd be 25 years ago I gave up the alcohol. It's just it was one of those things. I didn't think it was a necessity in my life anymore. And I was a drinker. I'm not bullshitting anybody to say that I wasn't heavy into the alcohol up until that point. In fact, I think I was almost intoxicated on the way. But true to my word, that was the last day. That was the last day. I figured it was no longer needed in my life, and it was it would help me provide for that child, and both were true. The alcohol was no more needed. My daughter B, I'll save her name there, but was everything that I needed to, in life. You know what I mean? It was that missing piece that I no longer needed the alcohol for. So, and then I gave up. You talked about tobacco. I used to chew tobacco too, and I gave that one up for my middle daughter there, Lexi and Chad. There. So,
sick. Good on you, dude.
When I came down to the third daughter, there was nothing left but cannabis, and I was like, yeah, I love you, but that's where the selfishness came in. I was like, yeah, we're all right. All right, I can make this work. And So I kept the cannabis for the third round, but that's still the staple. My only guilty pleasure, aside from a microdose here and there. Uh, Try like once a week to try to keep things a little level, a little bit of a reset, kind of keep the ego in check with some mushrooms. So,
Nice.
that's it. I think that's fair enough, isn't it?
Yeah, I usually eat mushrooms every day or every other day or something, and then I've I'll take some cactus or puff herb. The herb is I stopped for a while, I don't know, 6 weeks or something like that, but I started again for a few reasons because the medicinal aspect that it offers, in the sense of my body and equilibrium of my cells, it's really interesting because it just feels like it's a sort of antioxidant in some type of way, and of course bringing a lot of balance in the sense of the anti-carcinogenic aspect of things, the vasodilation aspect of things. It's like really, so utilizing it in those ways to and then of course utilizing it out of the self-centered aspects. The beer for me, half a beer, very selfish. I like it. It's like that. You have to know that. Like if I eat sugar, I'm like, it's a very selfish thing. I like it, in that way. It's like the meaning. It's only benefiting myself, and really, it's not even benefiting myself. That's more the meaning. What I mean by selfish, benefiting myself, meaning I'm enjoying it, but it's actually not probably good for me. I'm being selfish.
It's funny you bring up the sugars there. That's another thing too, as far as my journey with this plant and then into the soil. I realized how plants utilize sugars. Everything utilizes sugars at some point, either good or bad. And then I realized, as the relationship with the microbes in the gut. And then I noticed that I drink a lot of kombucha and stuff like that. And I find that helps keep me feel good, and it just overall it makes me feel good. My body. I just can't say enough about the health benefits, I think, from drinking that. But when I didn't drink it or relaxed on it and got guilty with the sugars, I noticed that the gut started coming back, the shitty feeling, and then it kind of clicked in my head, the relationship with the microbes, the good and the bad. And I was thinking, well, I'm taking in this bad sugar, basically the white processed sugars and the cornstarch and the syrups and stuff, and I was feeding I was targeting nothing but the bad stuff. So I noticed, started thinking, like, I gotta pull that nasty sugar out and kind of keep that stuff in check too. But it's weird how the correlations with, again, plant and human and in nature seem to revolve uh, as you journey into it. You see the correlations, how we work with one another. We're very similar, us in nature, that's for sure.
For sure. That's the beauty, that's makes it easier too, and that's why with a lot of this stuff we can relate so well, and see the mirror like wisdom and everything, actually, all the way up onto a universal level. You start looking at this like this solar system, you're like, man, it looks a lot like an atom, or so it's like, and you see how our body works, how our gut's similar to the earth biome, and soil. Similar relations on how nutrients are being uptaken and identified, So it's like it's different but similar, If you've seen that movie Fantastic Fungi, you're like, what? So sick, Have you seen it?
No,
Fantastic.
I have not.
Dude, you got to watch it. Fantastic fungi. It's so sick. Like on another level, cool, man. It's Paul Stamets. He's like the mushroom guru. Mega. He's a super G. It's like basically about his journey, you know, and his reality with mushrooms, and it's super psychedelic and super. The cinematography of it's like on another level, man. Talks all about the, you know, relationships of and why, and it's pretty sick, pretty cool.
I think I actually watched a portion of that. Smiley's Garden that's in chat actually sent me a link to another gentleman who I can't remember the name of, but he's in chat. Hopefully he'll throw it up. That did a lot of mushroom research and had set up stuff in his garage and in his bathroom so he could like do time elapse and capture it all in video. These like neon mushrooms and stuff like that. And I thought his story was pretty cool all in all because it's just fascination with mushrooms, and it's just like a kid like hunger for it all, to venture into the forest. Shit, I live in the forest and it gets dark as shit out here. There's nights where I'm not going out there for nothing. You ain't paying me for nothing to venture out there in the woods. And then I had to see this gentleman, and he's like, "Yeah, I just wander around the woods. The darker the better with a camera to try to find these just little." Light up neon mushrooms to capture. And, this is the time to look. And I'm thinking, man, that's awesome that, you're not even thinking of the dangers. You're just thinking of the awesomeness of capturing, that moment. I'm like, that is so awesome.
Those, fuck, I love passion, bro. Like people passionate about their thing is sick, so cool, fucking can't stand haters, me and Coma, Coma the grower, he's like super cool. People think he's fucking not so cool, but I think he's fucking super cool. I love the guy. He's really cool. Anyway, we're doing a collab. We're gonna call it Haters Tears, something like that, So because I think we both got a couple haters, I think he might have a couple more than me, but I'm sure I got a couple,
I followed Como and I still pay attention to what he does. Oh, he says Smiley says his name's Stephen Axford is the mushroom gentleman there that was referring.
Cool. The fucking the mega neon man with the like black light guy with the guy that's the ears. Stephen what?
Mm-hmm. Stephen Axford.
Shoot me something on DM. Shoot me a DM. Don't on the DM because I'm like, I'll forget. Please.
I will.
The mushrooms are neat, man. I fucking love mushrooms. That's been my, mushrooms between mushrooms and cactus. Those are the best all dayers, all like if you're gonna do something all the time, the cactus helped me a lot, when I was doing a lot of my preliminary stuff with studies and Buddhism and stuff and memorization and all that kind of thing. It helped me a lot. It's like easier to memorize stuff, or something. Because I was doing like upper division geology and stuff in U of O at the same time, years ago, but, and just made it really easy. It's weird. Like it felt San Pedro cactus kind of like that Limitless pill, You see that movie Limitless? It's like there's a movie Limitless where these guys taking this speed pill or something, this kind of pill, and makes them like fucking makes their brain work good, Anyway, this the San Pedro cactus is kind of like that, but it's with your body too. You almost feel like a fucking superhero, like lots of endurance, lots of energy, lots of like stamina, everything, So mushrooms kind of similar, if you take the right dose and you find the right mushroom that works, And what's cool about mushrooms, it's like not so edgy. And if you find the right mushroom, it doesn't have the like, I don't like the down body high bull, you know?
That so when Paul Seaman actually, when he talks about microdosing, he talks about mixing it up, don't he? Not necessarily taking the same one, but maybe mixing
Yeah,
like three.
that's nice. He's a G, you know. That's what you do with weed too, man. Like one gets old, two, the other one gets old, the other one gets old, mix them all together, you know. So I get the new one, you know. My friend Doc Stank Seeds on Instagram. There's Doc Stank Seeds. He's like fucking G Lord. Love that guy. So nice. He gave me these mushrooms, these I think they're called psilocybe hushanagi, something like that. Psilocybe hushanagi, these little tiny mushrooms. Fucking so good, man. They're really nice, really clear, really energetic, really cool. Taste nice, you know, they don't taste very strong. And you don't have to eat very much. Little tiny one, you know, or two or three, whatever. But like two's a nice, three's a nice little microdose, you know, like a nice more, a little bit more, you know. But really good. Enigmas are kind of nice. I don't know if you had those. Enigma. They look like a brain. Very interesting. Very interesting.
Just had an advocate for pop shrooms on Instagram was like a week ago, and he's gentleman that's an advocate for the research of psilocybin and other mushrooms, and teaches people how to cultivate their own and all that good stuff. But it was
Oh,
he was another great guest, very passionate, full of life, and I enjoyed that episode. There's just something about the that psychedelic experience that unlocks some stuff. You know what I mean? That otherwise, and it takes people that's been around it for a while to see the passionate. You know what I mean? That really sells it. And he was one of them gentlemen that
yeah,
it was a good
sure, man.
episode. He was very passionate about it all.
That's sick because it's probably changed his life, you know.
Oh, it definitely did. It was kind of funny because here we're doing the episode, and he's passionate about it. He was very passionate. I mean, he's given me you know his his take on it all, and he's like, I don't I'm not gonna say he wasn't yelling at me, but he was like, he very blunt with the message, you know what I mean? And then I'd say I may mention about chat, and I'm like, we're live, and he's like, oh, we're live. Well, that changes everything. I don't know if I would have been so direct with, what I mean. But it was like I said, no, I saw shit that I enjoy. I needed to hear. Thank you. You know what I mean? It was obviously being meant to be, meant to be and meant to be directed as such. So, don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. But it was a great episode, man. I appreciate the folks that are out there spreading the message and the word and making it possible for others to, do for themselves and have that experience and turn other people on. It's, I think it's no coincidence, to be honest with you, that cannabis and, mushrooms have come to the forefront as far as a medicine. And, both of them are, very holistic. I can't believe they've been taken off the menu for so long when it's just something that feels so right. You know what I mean? It doesn't take an experience with either to go, this isn't what I've been sold all these years. And and again, I don't think it's no question, no coincidence, if you will, that it's being pushed at the forefront of this mess that we're in. You know what I mean? As things, as humanity as a whole heads, there's these plans going. Hey, there's another way. Keep yourself in check and balance. Don't forget about the holistic Mother Earth. Don't forget. Don't take us out of the equation. Basically.
We helped you get here, like that's what's, you know, um, my first teacher would say that we brought all these things here with us, because there he says there's this myth of Inkari, he calls it the myth of Inkari, where say like we left our other planets for some reason, either whether it be from we had to or we did for other reasons, but either way, we're not there anymore. We're here now. So it's a myth, but imagine leaving on a whatever our spaceship comet was and coming here with all the tools to evolve through, come here and hit this planet, hitting Pangea or whatever, destroying all the dinosaurs that were going to make it very uninhabitable for a human type of life form, and then through time evolve through the process, whatever process that may be. But that seed was the seed that came with all the tools for us to get here, So bam, hits Pangea, splits, everything goes into continental shift. All the dinosaurs die. Oh, scary lizards, man. Imagine there's fucking 30, 40-foot lizards trying to eat us. People wouldn't give a fuck about COVID. Yeah. COVID probably wouldn't affect them either. They're dealing with running from dinosaurs. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, so then through the millions of years process, evolving through to where we are now, but then now in that process, we came with all the tools, the cannabis, the Banisteriopsis capi and the chacruna for the ayahuasca, the acacia or the whatever chacruna or the, reed canary grass or whatever, that making the, mimosa hostilis for the DMT. You got all the forms of mushrooms, you got, what else? Iboga, there's so many things and they're spread all over the world, So then us ingesting each one of those, opening that gate of mind, So he says that's the myth of Inkari. If we can open all those channels of all those plants from all these continents, we can really like empower and embody that kind of our birthright, say. It's just a myth though, So, but I'm short of the iboga. I haven't had that, I haven't had datura. I mean, I've smoked angel trumpet, so I guess I have had it, but I haven't drinking like gypsum or drinking datura. I heard it gets you pretty high for a few days, so I don't want to go blind for a few days and have that kind of trip. Iboga I would do, but I think if I do it, I want to do it with the Bwiti tribe, in Gabon region, like with the Lokes,
So
Other
I can't. It always makes me wonder, how I've heard the story, but I can't believe that cat was the first one to do the toad, uh, the toad semen, toad semen
toad
venom.
semen.
I guess.
I don't think it was toad
Yeah.
semen. It's toad venom.
That's what when the video. It's what is it? What's his name there? Man, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank right now. He's the guy on Vice there that does the psychedelic drugs. I can't remember his name right now, but they told the story of it. And that's what they actually described it as. It's first telling of the story as it being a toad semen.
It looks
he actually squirts it out onto his windshield and it dries out and he scrapes it out and smokes it. And
Did he
I'm like,
squirt the penis or did he squirt it out of his neck?
I, actually in the pamphlet, he shows different spots where it does discrete from. There you go, Hamilton's cornucopia. There you go. But yeah, they described it as semen, and I thought to myself, when I first heard it, I'm like, all right, how do
I don't,
you be
I,
first
I don't,
up? And even if you think there's some type, you have to get over what you've just done.
I don't have, I don't do semen, man. I'll stick to the plant DMT, bro. I'm all good.
Right. But you're right, it is a venom. But that's the way they described it in that episode the first time.
Even
And I
even
was
the
like,
venom, I'm not doing the venom either. I'm not, I actually I'm not gonna do any toad venom or semen. I'm not gonna do any I'm not gonna eat any puffer fish. I'm not or whatever it is that gets you high like that. I'm not gonna do those kind of things because I think it's kind of weird for me to take another animal's defense mechanism and ingest it so you get high. I'm like, let's stick to the plants. Personally, I'm cool.
basically, in Hamilton's cornucopia there, he was wanting to take that because the trip was so beneficial. It's ayahuasca with another leg to it, which extends it out for a much longer period of time. So he was wanting to track down the people and get some samples basically so they could, reverse it into a synthetic form. But he definitely found the values in it. That's why he was, But I agree with you. I'm with you with the natural forms. You know what I mean?
It's all
Harvest
good.
it, eat it.
I would do it with the tribe that I would probably do it then, if they offered it, then I would do it with that tribe. But I'm not doing it with some white guys milking frogs, that's just not what I'm gonna do, But that sounds like not my style.
Fair enough.
But it's cool that they do it. I heard the high is really nice, and I heard it is really healing, and I heard the frog takes them on the little journey, and they get they so that's cool. It's just not for me.
That's many roads down. Many roads down. I've got to track down the ayahuasca guy first. I don't think I'm traveling to any deserts looking for frogs anytime soon.
No, man, you get everything off IG almost, man.
Well, it takes away from the experience, like you said. It's more fitting to go through the ritual than it would be to just find some cat on fucking Instagram. Send
For
you
sure, bro.
semen and spread them in the fucking pile. That'd be Larry as fuck, man. Excuse my language, but man, yeah, I ain't wanting no questionable substances, especially when it's supposed to be a black, secreted from something. Yeah, there's too many weirdos on the internet to be just popping.
He's smoking someone.
Probably. I didn't want to say it, but yeah,
hi, but weird. I'm beyond embarrassed right now. I don't know what's happening. Yeah. No, yeah.
Taste that I just can't describe in my mouth. It just won't leave. Yeah, no. The internet's no.
They have the bufo toad, right? When they burn it and they put it in, and supposedly you go into kind of some minor convulsions a little bit, but then once you get dialed up, you're like one with the jungle, and you see everything, you see everything, you're like mega hunter,
That's the one, the bufo frog. That's the one they're referring to in that episode.
Oh, that one.
That's the That's they talk about that guy's journey, and he's the
Okay.
first one that supposedly did it and wrote the manual. They actually did like a follow up to that episode recently because they went through this whole thing because they found the Bufo frog manual. You know what I mean? And there was only so many made, but they tried to track down that gentleman, and they found some cat that claimed to be that guy, the author of the book. And so come like a year later, they find out that somebody writes in and has proof. That guy's a fraud. He isn't the one. Come see us down here in Texas. It was an old military base, missile base that the guy had bought, and like kind of turned it into like this psychedelic bufo
Dude, my
frog fucking
friend watched that.
yeah.
Dude, he said it was insane.
But he called him out. He's like, yeah, that guy was a liar. This is the brief guy. And they had actually gotten together and were reprinting that original little booklet that, tells how to do it. And it was from that episode that they were talking about, you know, taking it back to a synthetic form, so no frogs would be hurt, in that journey.
Is that where the 5-MeO DMT came from?
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
So there is some good, I guess, that come out of it. But again, who's to
For
be
sure.
the first that guy? You know what I mean? And even up until that point, it was like legend. You know what I mean? It was like unheard of. I think he had read about it in maybe a old National Geographic episode journal and magazine back in the day, and kind of researched it. I don't know.
Really?
It's crazy on the calling people get. You know what I mean? And obviously, it was calling for him to change other people's lives with that
For sure.
experience.
I've heard there's one guy with this bufo, or this, I don't know if it's a bufo toad, but DMT toad that he has like a whole therapy center around it. Still currently it's happening, so it's pretty interesting. The whole experience of going out and getting it, like the first time I got high off ayahuasca, I was at the first Amazonian Shamanic Conference in Iquitos, Peru. And from there, we went 5-hour trip up the Amazon. This little boat, not little, but like 13-footer, 14-footer, little canoe, and it had like a lawnmower or a weed eater motor. And the guy had to like stand up, and so you're like out there, and go. This guy, Westerner guy, white guy, owned the property, and a Shipibo shaman out there, really cool shaman. Anyway, it's like, fuck, man. At that point, all I'd heard, there was not much information on ayahuasca, anywhere. It was just like Arrowwood's vaults, you couldn't just look in your paper and have some urban shaman give you ayahuasca with some guy they gathered up, somewhere, some shaman, that didn't happen in every town like it happens now, so anyway, you had to go to Peru, you had to go to Ecuador, you had to go to somewhere and get it, or Brazil, but so yeah, the experience of going and getting it's quite interesting, there ain't no turning back then, when you get really high out there, you're like, you get it, it was really interesting. I remember when the night before, or two nights before I had ayahuasca, this lady, Norma Panduro, she was supposed to be the best female ayahuasquero. And I was like, oh man, first ayahuasca I want to have with a woman, I'm going to have there's a woman shaman that's sick, and have with her, and she ended up falling asleep, she's drunk or something, it's crazy, bro. it was crazy. I didn't even get high. Like 4 glasses. I was like, "What? This is junk," And my teacher, or my first teacher, at the time, he started singing songs. He started holding down the ceremony, because like she was like, it was very interesting. I was like tripped out. I was like, "What?" I said, "What's up with this ayahuasca, Armando? I'm not even getting high, like 4 glasses." He's like, "Yeah, man, because this is bunk." I was like, "What?" He's like, "I'm not feeling it." I was like, "Oh." So anyway, 2 nights later, I went out to this other spot, and then, I had the first glass. The guy comes back around. He's like, "Would you like some more?" I said, "Nah, man, not if it's gonna not get me high, because this is like doesn't taste very good. So I want it to work." He's like, "Oh, come to my seat then, and I'll give you one." I said, "All right." And he busts out the bottle out the back, had like a black snake on it, like classic, poured the glass. I had the glass. By the time I was like back to my seat, I was like getting like fucked up, and like I laid down. Usually now I don't, I wouldn't lay down now in it, but like, and I just this time I laid down, laid down. I got so high, I was like, "Whoa!" And when I went to throw up, I saw these little like marsupial creatures, the ones with the big eyes, and the big ears, but they're little kind of creature, like not a ringtail cat, but like something looks like that. I forgot the name of it. But I was like, throwing up off the Maloka, and it's just like in my mind is these things, 2 things just laughing at me, their eyeballs like spiraling rainbows. I'm just like, it's like full on DMT Fractalville, with these like things. I was just like, wow, and then I'm like sitting there, and like pretty high, after I like kind of like did that, and the Shipibo shaman singing, and he's like, looks like an alien, he has this like Shipibo gear on, and he's like singing, he's just like moving, and it's this thing, man. And as he's singing, all the like sounds were coming out like in like algebraic equations, like all these like, basically formulas were coming out of the vibration frequency instead of like, it was like I was tripping hard, obviously. I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." So I was just having this like epiphany of the relation of like vibration, frequency, and math and all this. I was like, so I don't know. I got pretty high. It was really cool, and a lot more happened than that, but it was interesting, So then from that point, I went out to the Sacred Valley in Peru with Armando. So went through all of the like, basically I went there with my girlfriend at the time, and son with his girlfriend. What's funny is both our girlfriend's name was Anna Marie and Anne Marie, So he was like, "Oh, that's so weird, both you guys," so it was like this big thing for him too. And then our relation with the family link, and it's been a really interesting journey with the family. And he's dealt with a lot of crazy people. Even he, like, when Greg Long died out at Cortez Banks, big wave surfer, to get his head back together, he went and seen Armando have ayahuasca, and like a lot of big wave surfers go to see him. He lives now in South Africa on Jeffreys Bay, but he's seen a lot of people, and he's had a lot of crazy people, because he's crazy, so it's like to deal with people like us, you can't be like, you need to be a weird too. So otherwise not be so, we might be too tough for you, So you have to be able to earn the respect, and it goes both ways in these kind of scenarios too, So through all that whole experience, I think maybe I was one of the only ones that made it through the whole program with him. So hence why I'm, he and his son were like brothers. We don't talk too much to his dad anymore, but we're all the time, So it's been a really interesting journey, and now like have like a homeland in Peru, and it's very cool, It's it was worth it all, but sometimes you have to give up all of it to then like get this new thing that's even cooler, But giving up the whole past of what you've created, it's kind of tough, But if you do, sometimes like what's out there is just on another level cool, you know. He never even fucking thought it was gonna be so sick, you know. Because he even told me, he's like, man, what do you want to do? You want to be some yogi with like long hair and like in a cave, you like the guy like that, or some like shaman guy singing your song for all the ladies, you know, like, what's up, bro? He's all, why don't you just have like an aware kid, you know, take this relationship that you've created with a wisdom plant that you've already mastered and master your intention now, you know, and you have an aware child, you practice hard, you know, spread this plan out really strong and you do the thing, man. All secret, like secret revolution, you know? So we don't get like, you know, you make too much noise these days. They seem like they make you fucking, they really cancel you, you know, like Putin style, you know? So, so we don't want that. So like more longevity, you know? You have more longevity and that's why, you know, have an aware kid, share the plant, share the information, and just cruise on, you know, have a good time, catch some waves, catch some powder, have some good friends, have some good life. I think my phone's going to die.
All the above. I think all the above are key to a good life. And yeah, I was just getting ready to check in with you because it is getting late and it has been an honor. I would honestly, you know, I'd love to get you back, and I prefer to end on a good note with somebody than to drag it out to where it's like, I don't want to do that again. So I'd much rather go out with that smile on your face for sure. With that being said, there's a couple things I'd like to tell you, and one thing I'd like to get from you before you go. One of them is I told you prior to the show that the time slot is from 11:30 to 4:20 every night, and tonight is no different. Even if we were to go right to the 4:20, I would shut things down, and every night I do a shout out to everybody that yourself and people in chat that participate to the show. That's my way of being grateful and being vocal about. I told you that in the beginning. I do it every night. I do my shout outs. I try to be vocal for my, this thing, this life. I'm blessed. But the Zoom number for the show is always the same. So what I'm getting at is, we're going a little bit short. So I will fire up what I call the wormhole next. And that is like a filler episode, and that's open to everybody. You have to be a past guest to jump in the wormhole, and it's an evolving panel. So anytime Monday nights is a wormhole, I don't do the spotlight. I just jump in at 2:00 my time, and whatever happens. But if you subscribe to the channel, and anytime you see a wormhole going on, you don't need an invitation. If we're talking about something that interests you, in a lot of nights, it could be psychedelics, it could be growing, it could be deep dives into a conspiracy theory, and sometimes we get pretty deep into those. So if you happen to see something that applies to you, you don't need an invitation. You've got the Zoom link. All you got to do is click it, join in. We'd love to have you. New perspective, new people always makes for great conversation. So I wanted to make sure and extend that open invitation for you. Anytime you see fit, please take us up on that and join us during any wormhole. The other thing I'd like to get from you before your phone dies is I do this like old school, like sound bite. This is the only like portion of the show that I actually like record for my benefit, I guess. And it's basically an advertisement for your episode. So I'm with my words, me as an example, I would say something close to, hey, this is Eagle Gardens. I'm on fucking Talking Shit with the Eagle, episode 368. You can add whatever you want to it, say whatever. Please make it your own, but that's what I'd like to get from you before you.
Really sick wrapping out with you here at Eagle Gardens, man. I've really fucking just blew my mind. I had the greatest time, and I really it was such a great honor, man. Thank you so much. And everyone, I hope everyone enjoyed it and really tune back in, because fun things like this can happen here. So sick times. Thanks so much.
Thank you, man. And you donated a large chunk of your time tonight. And I can't thank you enough. For real. And have a
Yeah,
great night. And I wish you the best. And I look forward to speaking with you hopefully sometime again in the future.
hell yeah, man. Good times. Thank you so much.
You have a good night. I'll go
Yeah.
ahead and wrap it up here. And again, one last thank you before I get to all that. You have a good one. I've enjoyed this conversation. It was a great night, guys.
Thank you, man.
Thank
Me
you.
too. Yeah, thank you, man. Reality is the best. Keep keeping it real. We'll see you.
Right. Have a good one. For those you guys are watching, thank you very much for watching this. It was a great episode. Hopefully, you've had some fun. Maybe picked out some knowledge through this all. I see. I see the new catchphrase there. Oh no! But you guys know the deal. Please do something nice for somebody. Random acts, kindness do save lives. I'm a living, breathing example of that. But please rest your legs, stretch, fill up your tray, get something to drink, and join me here in a few minutes in the wormhole. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in a few. Love you guys.